Hello, and we are live. This is the RedEye stream number 30. It might just be a short rant today, guys. I can't seem to find any guests. But I'm really quite perturbed with people turning a tragedy into politics. And that's really what they're doing. They have turned this Vegas situation into a gun grab, just like they do with all the school shootings, every mass shooting that ever happens in the United States within the last 10 years. It is ridiculous. And no, I will not give up my freedom for security, even if there is a psychopath shooting out a window of a hotel. I will not give my freedom away for security. It is ridiculous. We hand the guns over. Who's going to have a gun left? The criminals. Why? Because they don't care about the laws. They'll go to Canada. They'll go to fucking Ireland. I don't know. They'll go anywhere they want to get a gun. They don't need to go down and do a background check for a firearm, do they? Really? Cabbage, you're here. Thank God. I won't be by myself. What's up, brother?
Hey, mate, how you doing? Yeah, I was interested in catching up with this Vegas thing, and what the fuck happened? What's the profile of this guy? Is he just crazy or?
Yeah, I don't know. I heard something about Antifa connections. ISIS tried to take credit. I don't know, but what I do know is I've been in a Twitter spat all day with the guy that played Geordi from Star Trek, believe it or not. And I grew up watching this guy. I happen to like, Geordi. And I feel like a dick, but he's a fucking moron. He's yelling for gun control immediately. Yeah. And totally, somebody else in the Twitter thread, Cabbage, it was insane. They were like, yeah, what about Chicago with their crime rate and their strict gun laws? And LeVar Burton responds with, don't make this a race baiting issue. Don't talk to me about black on black violence. What are you talking about, LeVar? When was the last time you were in a gang neighborhood, dude? You're a fucking millionaire. You don't know what you're talking about. I lived in LA, you fucking prick. Go ahead. I'm pissed. That's why I even went solo. I'm pissed.
It's the usual thing of the Hollywood elitists, isn't it? Getting all high and mighty on a topic or an issue. They're so liberal. But I totally agree with you. If you take the guns off the people, only the criminals will have guns. I mean, I know I live in England. We don't really have any guns, but that's because nobody has them. The police either.
Yeah, well, and also you're not founded on a principle of self-determination, okay? So what I mean by that is not individual. I mean the fact that we can create a militia to overthrow a tyrannical government. We are founded on that principle. Therefore, our Second Amendment right cannot be taken from us.
Oh no, the British Bill of Rights was built based on a militia. That was the Tolpuddle Martyrs who marched on London. That was a militia group that got us our Bill of Rights. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Cabbage. I stand corrected. So you are built on that principle as well. Then why do you think your country has given up guns so readily? Right? You only really get rifles or shotguns around there, right? Nobody carries 38 on their hip.
No, not at all. And you could, it is just illegal. I think it was after, World War II. Pretty much people were sick and tired of, there's a lot of people with trauma from, the trenches and things like that. And they didn't want to see guns. They just handed them in and said, look, take it away. I don't want it. I think it was more, born out of, there was an element of the cultural thing. We just don't perceive that we need them. That you should just be rational and if you want to, if you're going to have conflict, have a fight,
Yeah, you're more fist cuffs. Yeah, you're more fist cuffs, right?
That's it. Yeah.
What's up, Buttercup? It's nice to see you. I don't think you've been on a stream with me in a while, or at least a week or two.
Not for a while.
How have you been?
I decided to hop in for a few minutes and.
Well, it's only going to be a few minutes. Get your ideas out there real quick. How do you feel about gun control, Buttercup?
I'm not necessarily against, shall we say, a more in-depth background check before, you know, a gun is sold to a person. But
Wait, can I stop you right there though? How in depth? Do I need to give you a urine sample to make sure I'm not smoking the devil's weed?
no, but I mean, let's say you're visiting a psychiatrist because, I don't know, you've been having dreams about shooting up a school. And you want to talk to your doctor about this. You know,
That would
in
be
certain situations
insanely
like that,
impossible.
like, huh?
I don't think that a doctor would. I mean, there is the rule, you know, that they
No, I
the
understand
privacy,
that.
you know, the
Yeah,
doctor's
there's doctor-patient
confidentiality.
confidentiality.
Yeah.
Right, but in a situation like that, you know, there are certain things that should supersede the doctor-patient confidentiality.
And yes, but
And,
wouldn't it mean that you'd have to admit to it on the form? Which means if you didn't put it down, if you wanted a gun and you didn't put it down, you still get the gun because then nobody would
well,
look.
yeah, but that should be one of those things that they kind of like red flag. You know, is this person visiting a psychiatrist
Yeah, but
for
how would they know?
a reason?
Well, no,
How
actually, I kind of agree with you. I don't want to give a gun to a schizophrenic that has 10 different personalities and 5 of them want to be
Exactly.
masters. Yeah.
You
yeah,
But
know, I mean, there's
I
we
agree
don't
with
need to
you.
take guns away,
I
but
agree.
I mean,
I agree with
go
you in
ahead.
principle, but I just don't understand how the government would be able to find that information out if you didn't provide it willingly. And if you wanted to get a gun,
Well,
knowing that you might be denied it by not putting it down, then I'm not sure how they'd be able to identify that
that's kind of where the suspension
independently.
of the doctor-patient confidentiality comes into play. Like your doctor, if you know, your psychiatrist or whatever, she'd be like, yeah, you know, I'm seeing this patient. Like they should,
Yes, but
if it
how?
comes right down to it.
But but if you're
Cabbage, Cabbage, just a second though.
Well,
Here's the thing in the United
because
States.
they
If
do a background check anyway.
Well, no, you're right, Buttercup. They do a background check, but here's the
Right.
thing: if your psychiatrist thinks that you will go out and shoot somebody in the after they see you, right? And they like you have described it to them, they can call the police. They can violate privilege for that. You know, the admission or the imminent commission of a crime.
right, but
Other
my
than
point,
that,
yeah,
I
but
think
my,
Cabbage is right. I don't know how it would be on a background check. Other than that.
but I mean, as I say, unless there is a central register where everybody who is having any kind of psychotherapy, that the doctor has to register it with central government or with the local state government, how else would you be able to find out that information unless it was disclosed to you?
Well,
So,
that's kind of the thing. I mean, anybody who's seeing, you know, a therapist or a doctor because they're having reoccurring thoughts of, you know, shooting up a public place probably should be put on some sort of registry.
but that's
However,
what I'm wondering, is that what happens? I don't know, because I don't
No,
understand how you'd be able to find out or check anything.
I mean,
No, Kevin, there is no registry like that right now in the U.S. I do not
Right.
think.
Okay.
like, I am all for the government staying out of everyday normal citizens' lives. Do not get me wrong. However, if you are having delusions or you're having some sort of issue where you could become a potential threat to the safety of hundreds, then, I mean, you know, there's an issue there. However, for your normal everyday citizen, go ahead, come try to take my gun away from me and watch what happens.
Yeah, but Buttercup, this is where I have to deviate from you because who gets to decide who is an imminent threat? So, would John Lennon, or not John Lennon, but Lenin, the one that created that book, the Manifesto on Communism, would he have been an imminent threat? Should they have disarmed him and locked him up? Marx, would he be an imminent threat? Or, can you be a threat because of your ideas? Or are you a threat because you're going to
No.
walk into a school and shoot? You know what I mean?
I
Well,
think that there should be a list of, say I go to a therapist because I've been having these really awful thoughts about strapping bombs to myself and going into a public place and blowing it up. And this happens 6 times a day, right? So I want to go to a doctor and I want to be like, what's going on here? Then I think that, you go into your doctor and you're like, yeah, I've been really feeling this desire to strap 600 explosives to myself and go into a public, crowded place and just detonate. Then maybe, they put your name on a list and then they report that and be like, hey, this person is experiencing these certain.
So it's another watch list, like they do with the air, with the flying. Another watch list.
Yeah, a watch list.
We all know how good that. Yeah, we all know how overreached that watch list became.
Kevin, that's not even what I'm taking umbrance with. What I am is the person that goes in and says I'm having these terrible dreams and I need help. I don't know if they're the real threat. I think the threat is the guy that ignores it and just goes on day to day and then blows up like a ticking time bomb. You know what I mean?
Well,
can I say something?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
Wait, first, who are you?
I'm Edgemap Stories. I'm a German. You can tell from my nasty accent, I guess. Yeah. Hi, Princess.
Hi.
Okay, this is my idea. I guess we agree that like 99% or even more of the gun owners are not the problem, right? I mean, it's not like you have a gun and then you automatically shoot somebody. That is not the point, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So, but there is a very small minority who go nuts and then shoot people like, no, this crazy guy in Vegas. So there is a threat that is coming from guns, but it's not that every individual who owns a gun is a threat. So, I mean, this is the general idea. So the question is, would the whole society, not the one person, would the whole society benefit if there are no guns in the society or not?
Okay.
No.
I would say no, they wouldn't, but I would also follow up your question with a question. How would you take away all guns from American society? And that includes illegal guns as well. Good luck. You're not going to be able to do that. The federal government was shipping illegal guns to Mexico, for God's sakes.
And in America,
I mean, in England, you rarely have guns.
Yes, but we don't go out hunting. We don't have bears in our backyard. We don't actually. We don't have any natural threats to us. So you need them for that reason alone. If no other.
We still have a pretty good portion of our society who hunts. They hunt to get enough food to last them.
Okay, fair enough.
Because we don't have a great welfare system here in America.
Okay, no, fair enough. I understand that. But usually when you go hunting, you don't do that in the cities, right?
But bears can come into towns and things like that. I mean, if you're in part near the wilderness or whatever, or there's bobcats.
Somewhere in Alaska or in the.
Texas, you get bobcats and stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of animals in America. I mean, you got snakes as well.
Yeah, but not in the inner cities. When you are in Dallas, there's not a snake in the city.
Yeah, wouldn't have thought so.
Okay, I'll put it to you this way. I live in the Midwest. I live in a fairly major metropolitan area in the Midwest. However, there's this thing with major metropolitan areas in the Midwest in specific, which is that you have your city, and then immediately surrounding it, you have wilderness, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. It's not. It's not like
Yeah, okay, I totally understand it.
So, like,
The
I
thing
have
is,
woods in my backyard in my apartment complex. Like, there are
Well, yeah,
animals.
no, and I have a mountain lion on the back end of our property up here. Should I just go turn in my 12 gauge, tomorrow?
Yeah.
But it's the thing where, I mean, maybe
the thing
if
is,
we're really tremendously worried about it, maybe a nice psych evaluation in, you get a little psych evaluation when you buy your gun. I don't know.
the thing is, I mean, the Canadians have exactly the same problem, right? Because they have bears there and then all kinds of dangerous animals as well. But at the same time, guns in the cities are completely prohibited. You're not allowed to wear a gun in Vancouver or Toronto or wherever. You're not allowed. But in general, every Canadian is allowed to have a gun. But you can't have it in the cities.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. I can walk down the street in Oregon with a gun on my hip as long as you can see it. It is an open carry state. I don't need a special permit. I could have a gun rack in the back of my pickup.
Yes, and
Yeah, the
that is
state I
exactly
live in
what I
just
would
became
like to.
open carry.
And that is exactly what I would like to talk about. I'm not talking about a farmer somewhere outside and there's dangerous animals and that he needs to protect himself. I totally get that. That is not a point we need to discuss. But I'm talking about people in the cities. And there's no reason in a city that you wear a gun. Simply, there is none.
Well,
Other
how
than
violent the
the
city is.
argument self-protection against another criminal. So that is the only argument left.
Maybe this is a little bit rude. I hope it's not. But do you not think if the German people as a whole had firearms, they maybe could have stopped the rise of a certain mustache-wearing leader?
You did not just ask that question.
I did.
Holy crap!
No, it's a fair
because I believe
question.
in the power of the people to overthrow a tyrannical government, and that's the definition of a tyrannical government.
Back in the 20s and 30s, the Germans were perfectly allowed to have weapons.
Exactly, that was the point. And what guys had the weapons in the first place? It were the Nazis, and not the communists. The communists all got imprisoned, and the Nazis were the guys with the weapons.
But don't you think the communists had weapons they could have defended themselves? Maybe I'm overstepping. If I am, tell me to stop. Even though it's my own channel, I'll back off a little bit.
No, it's perfectly fine. I'm not offended by it. It's a fair question, I think. In my opinion, the idea of the Second Amendment is that you can protect yourself from the government, right? That is the basic idea of the Second Amendment. And in my opinion, these government changes, they happen so incremental that you don't really notice. When you notice, it's already too late. So I think that this argument is not really working. I mean, look what Bush, it was Bush. What Bush did with the Patriot Act. You can get arrested without charge, without any lawyer or anything. They just imprison you and you have no rights at all. So that should be a point where you use your guns and go onto the streets and protest against the government with guns in your hand. But nobody did it. You know what I'm saying? It's so incremental that, when you notice it's already too late.
But that same argument works the other way round in terms of, for the guns rights advocates, is that, it will be incremental. Now they'll just add a little bit extra to the checklist. Now they'll add a little bit more to the checklist. And before you know it, nobody gets a gun because there are so many criteria that no one can possibly, match them. And then there will be, then the government will have effectively made buying a new gun illegal. Then as to whether or not they can come and get the guns, they're out there already.
And Cabbage, like I opened up with when I was by myself on my short little monologue there, they immediately use this attack for political purposes, and that's what really has me mad. Like, I'm actually angry, you guys. I'm pissed.
Yeah. No, these liberals are they always jump on it though, don't they? It's what they do every time, you know, because now, okay, great, we've got another talking point. We've got something else that we can, you know, we can use these people's grief as our platform. Hideous people.
Well, right. No, and it's another reason that...
Sorry.
What I think is this whole discussion is so charged with your own opinion, with your own situation. If you take another madness, like let's talk about, for example, speed limit on German autobahns. And then you would clearly say, yeah, that's totally ridiculous because there are only a handful of people who can drive that fast and they cause accidents all the time. And all people who don't drive fast are involved in it. So stop this stupid law, right? And you could apply the same thing to gun laws. It's exactly the same. But when you talk about like a different country, you are not so emotionally involved in this topic.
No,
that's
but
what I'm saying, because it's very similar.
Are you saying that you want speed limits on the Autobahn? Is that the basis of that argument?
Absolutely, but you can't discuss it in Germany because it's our holy grail, like gun laws in America. Speed limit on the Autobahn is our holy grail. You can't discuss it here.
But the Autobahn is safer than most UK motorways.
I would deny that, but even if it's true, still the people who are like really driving fast, they are causing the most accidents. So it could be even safer.
See, I don't think you guys should have a speed limit on there.
So. I mean, just fuck it then and just say, well, okay, you know, just no drivers in the cars now. Now we all have to buy a Google car.
Well, no, and I had heard, I don't know if it's true, I've never been to Germany, but I had heard that the Autobahn was one of the safest highways in the world. And part of that is because the German people aren't really like Americans. You guys don't eat Big Macs while you're driving and smoke cigarettes and drinking coffee all at the same time. You guys actually pay attention. So I thought you didn't really have a problem there. Well, am I wrong?
I figure it's not even that, but if you have a highway that goes through your country that doesn't have a speed limit, as opposed to like our highways, have you ever traveled on some of the highways and the speed limit changes 16 times in like a 10-mile stretch because it goes through some small town?
Oh,
like, it's got to be safer than that.
No.
But you don't have a speed limit.
Yeah, wait. We have changing speeds as well. We have parts where you have no speed limit, and then you arrive with like, I don't know, over 200 kilometers an hour, and then you suddenly have like 80 kilometers an hour. And then you have to smash the brakes, and then after like a mile later, then there's no speed limit again.
You know, I just want to say...
Yeah, but that's the junction.
You guys.
Yeah, but that's the junction. Yeah, but
say real
that's because of the junction. You got to have...
I'm a dumb American. I'm like, what is that in miles per hour? Like, I'm totally lost. Is that like 100-something miles per hour?
Yeah, it's like 140 or something.
I just wanted to point out how stupid I am when it comes to your guys' speed limits.
But the thing is that it's perfectly reasonable to have a dropping of, you know, the speed when it comes to a junction. When there is, you know, a feeder lane coming in.
Of course, it is reasonable.
You know, the point is that the cars have got to get to an equivalent speed before, you know, they can shoot off. Otherwise, so you have someone ramming in the back of you when you were just trying to join the, you know, join the highway.
The problem is that we have continuously mass crashes on the Autobahn, where like 40, 50 cars crash into another with like 10 people dead and so on.
Really?
Oh my God!
About them.
Yeah, we have that like 10 times a year.
Shit.
We do not hear about that over here ever.
Yeah, of course not, because we want everybody to have no speed limit but it is ridiculous. And that is the point. And when you talk about German Autobahn, then you are not emotionally influenced by it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And apply this to your gun laws. That is the thing. Talk about a different topic. where you have like there's the potential danger, and the danger is for the whole society, and only a few people are like really want it, and you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yes, but it isn't a few people in America. Look how many people have gone for open carry and concealed carry in the last, say, 15, 20 years.
how many are they?
Oh,
You know,
it's massively increased in the last decade, hasn't it, Maddox?
How
Probably
many?
got
Like, what numbers are we talking about? Like 50 million or 20 million or 100 million? How many are there?
In terms of
Do
gun ownership,
do you know when you look at an election map? You know when you look at an election map, all those red spots? Yeah, that's pretty much all the people there for guns.
Yeah, good
I mean-
point, Buttercup. You're that's exactly right. Like,
So we are talking about like more
exaggerate
than 200
slightly,
million?
but not really. There's, I mean, a good chunk of our society, you know, are for guns. Like they're pro.
More than
having
50%.
them.
Yeah, it's way more. I mean, if you had a referendum,
Yeah.
then the majority would vote to have guns, wouldn't they?
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're at like 80% or something.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I think this is the divide between Americans and people from other countries, because I was raised around guns. My children have been raised around guns. We know how to fire them. We know how to use them. We hunt. We fish. I mean, that's what we do, man. So you can't take our guns away from us because they're already ingrained in our culture from, I don't know, 150 to 200 something years. I mean,
Yeah, but is it really the majority of the country?
Yes.
Is
It's
it really
truly
so
the
many?
majority of the country.
Okay.
Undoubtedly, yeah. Undoubtedly, the majority.
Okay. I mean,
The,
I was living in LA, and nobody had a gun there. At least nobody I know.
Yeah, but
That's because
the
they're
thing
not
you have to
allowed.
remember, if you look at the election map, you know how I said all those spots in red? Yeah, LA is a really blue state.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to say it any more than that, but there are pockets of, let's say, liberal, hippie human beings who, you know, they don't believe in guns, they don't believe in your freedom of speech, they don't believe...
Yeah,
They
I deeply believe
basically-
in freedom of speech. So.
They basically eschew the things that, in essence, make America America.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, and I want to throw this out there before I forget. So another response from me and Jordy's Twitter beef. It wasn't Jordy, it was somebody else, but this guy, Michael James at Michael James on Twitter, says gun ownership does not equal freedom. You are much more free if you don't have to worry about getting blasted. Sir, my response to you is, 1, you're a fucking moron. 2, I won't worry about getting blasted because I have a gun on my hip too, bitch.
I know. I would totally agree with him. So sorry.
No, and
I personally
but-
think that every person who isn't an unstable individual should own a gun or should have the right to own a gun, because I think that if every person had a gun on them, that we could really prevent, you know, robberies and certain tragedies and stuff like that.
But that is actually not true. So that is proven false. When you have a gun with you, it is more likely that you get shot than if you don't wear a gun. So that is proven.
No. That's not an accurate. That's not an accurate statement.
Where's that statistic coming from?
That's a skewed statistic, because they say that you're more likely statistically to be shot with your own weapon on accident. All right.
Yeah.
Well, there are stupid people. Did you hear about that lady in Walmart that got shot by
Oh, there are a lot of morons that opt out of the gene pool. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, Darwinism.
All right. There's also the fact that statistic is skewed by the number of people that commit suicide with firearms.
Yeah, no. That was not the statistic I was talking about. The statistic was when you, for example, you get robbed. Yeah, and you give them your purse or whatever. And then it is very likely that nothing will happen to you other than that you lose your values. But if you pull a gun, then it is very likely that you get shot.
No.
At that point, I don't care. I'm gonna go down defending my property. Fuck that.
Yeah, see, I was watching Ogre's stream earlier, and they were talking about the guy that got his hat taken off him. And, you know, it's just a hat. But if this lady had jacked something from me and just took it, you know, stole it and refused to give it back, I'd pull my 38. Give me my property. Thank you. Now I'm gone. Don't give me my property? Okay, stand there while I call the police with my gun on you.
Look,
Fuck
I mean,
off.
a hat is one thing, but if you're breaking into my home, into my domain, I'm sorry, but people are animals at heart, and I'm going to protect my lair. It's just fucking what it is.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, well, that is a different law in the United States and here. In Germany, it is if somebody breaks into your home, then it's on you to escape in the first place, and you can. Yeah, really, it's not a joke. It's by law in Germany. You can only pull a gun when you can't avoid to fight. If you are like.
Everybody?
Hello? You guys still here?
What's happening? Yeah, it all went very quiet.
Okay.
What happened?
Yeah, everybody like cut off. Yeah, I was like, oh shit. I was wondering if my internet messed up because I have fucking a crappy internet provider.
Well,
So.
if it was, I think I had to reset everything. So I don't know if it was me that caused it.
It was for all of us.
Ah. Well, welcome back, Buttercup.
But
no,
just from a statistical standpoint, in the United States right now, there are more guns than there are people. And these are legally owned firearms.
Okay.
So I mean, it does tell you an awful lot about the because you know, even if you've got a Democrat, even in a blue, you know, in a blue state, there are still a lot of people who believe in the Second Amendment and would and still have weapons themselves. So there are plenty of Democrats as well as the Republicans.
Oh yeah,
that's why it's more than 50% of the population.
Well, no, that's why I think Buttercup was totally right. Because even if you look at the voter map of Oregon, all right, the main reason we're a blue state is because of Portland and Salem, Eugene, and Springfield. The rest of Oregon is all red. And I'm a libertarian, so it's not my side. I'm cheering on here.
I had this conversation with real lefties, and they were all, none of them had a gun, but they were all saying like, no, it's our right. We want to keep the right to own them. Yeah, no, that is strictly through the United States, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the United States is a different, I mean, for one thing about the United States is there's so many different subcultures within the United States. And any culture or subculture has its fringe groups. All right. Well, within the United States, though, where are your conflicts going to be? They're going to be with the fringes against the fringes. Well, when you've got so many, you've got so many flashpoints. I mean, the country has always been far more diverse than people even think it was. I mean, people constantly talk about how, well, it's dominated by the white culture and white culture does this, and there's some truth to that. But they forget that there's so many other subcultures that are involved, even within the white culture, let alone when you start adding the Latin American cultures or you start adding the Native American cultures, as if all of those are a single entity unto themselves. So
I don't think a knitting circle is quite the same as Cinco de Mayo, though.
It's just our culture is completely different. And there's also the fact that the primary purpose of owning a weapon is self-protection, is self-reliance. And that's still a huge part of the United States culture.
And also, America's a big place. The chance of police being around, when you need them.
Oh, yeah, that's very true, too.
A lot less likely than, say, in Germany or England.
Yeah, like I said, I totally understand this on the countryside. That is not a question for me. So surely, But in
But
the,
you,
in the
yeah,
cities, I don't agree. But you made fair points. I mean, I can't deny it. I can only express my opinion on it.
I
So,
can
I
say
mean,
this without too much doubt in my mind. Right back in the 1950s and 1940s, right, in the high school, you practiced. They had ROTC programs. People practiced with weapons. All right, even in the heavy urban areas. And even though the urban areas were still more violent, than the external areas, they weren't as violent as they are today. And that isn't because there were more guns. That's just simply because people have no respect for guns or the people around them. Anyway,
But
sorry.
I don't know. I still, even if it is our culture, that's what it is. You can't take our guns away, and you can't make okay, this is the worst mass shooting in U.S. history, and within 12 hours they make it political. Now I am here too on my stream, but that's after the fact. It's already been made political. Okay, that fucking door has been opened. So here we are.
yeah,
well,
but
And that
every
You,
shooting is political.
everybody
you know,
forgets how fast they did it after Sandy Hook.
Yeah, true.
look, here's the thing that's really getting to me is the whole ISIS claiming responsibility for it.
Oh,
And
they claim responsibility for a dog turn on
I
the
know
street.
they're claiming responsibility for every shooting that happens, and I don't know if they're actually involved in it or they just think that it's neat. But here's the thing that gets me. Those same people that are crying for more gun control and to have our guns taken away, well, they're not going to bat a freaking eyelash that this terrorist group is claiming that they freaking influenced this person. Like, okay, so, like, why is that not a talking point? Is it because it's based in Islam? And I mean, it's a religion of peace. We know that much, right? But they're not going to talk about that. They're not going to talk about,
Yeah,
if
but
there's a possible tie. I'm not saying that there is, but you can bet your sweet ass they're not going to talk about it.
oh no, and
And that's the thing.
Buttercup, on the other
What?
side of the same coin, if David Duke had said this was a KKK thing, that would be plastered everywhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they'd be trying to take everybody's guns away stat because I mean, KKK, is
They're going to use it as any excuse they can to try and grab the guns. It has nothing to do. They don't care who died, or how, only that a gun was involved, so they can wave whatever body they see as a bloody shirt, saying, "Look at this," and this is on somebody's bloody hands. And in the United States, that rhetoric carries over into so much of our politics today that it's
right.
gotten to this point. I mean, people, take a look before anybody knew about this. Yesterday, all right, it was announced that the GOP is ending some programs, all right, that's going to stop paying for health insurance, and that supposedly, once again, women and children are the hardest hit. Immediately, people on the left were screaming about how the Republicans are killing children, then that they're
Oh
pieces
God.
of shit because they're killing these kids because, oh my God, they're taking away their health care. As if somehow the parents or the GOP is now responsible for their health care. And if they're going to be responsible for their health care and these children, then by God, why can't they be responsible for their wombs?
Yeah, it was interesting. Bill Maher even pointed that out, that the left has cried wolf so many times and overextended its hand on so many occasions that now who takes anything seriously? It's another panic. It's just.
I have thoughts on that, which is, you know what? If you cannot provide health care and you have to rely on the government for government mandated health care, you cannot provide it for a kid. Here's a thought. Don't have one. For the love of God. If you cannot provide for a child, I don't care if it's every freaking human's right to have a child, you know what? Keep your legs closed. Don't put the penis in the vagina.
Learn how to use contraception.
Well,
Yeah,
or that.
But
Well, it's not. That's another thing that drives me crazy because it's not a matter of learning how to do it. It's a matter of having the discipline to do it. And too
Right.
many of
That's
these
it.
people
Plus,
act like children rather than adults.
You know, I decided that I didn't want to have kids because of a myriad of reasons. Do you know what I did? Because A, I don't have the money to support a kid. B, I don't have the mental stability to support a kid. C, I don't have the physical health to deal with having a kid. So you know what I did? I went to my doctor and I got my freaking tubes removed. I'm not pussyfooting around here. Like,
So
I
what you're
can't get.
saying is you've transitioned to a man now.
Yes, exactly.
I'm joking.
I'm the sexiest man you'll ever see. No.
It goes back to a previous just an inside joke.
I still have all my girl parts except for the fallopian tubes. Because
I think that is a little bit too easy, because when you remember what was it, 2008, after the big crash, millions of Americans got laid off. So they lost their job. They sometimes lost their apartments and all that stuff, and they already had kids. So it's not always a matter of protection. It is also like life circumstances, and sometimes your life goes well and sometimes not. And but healthcare should
that's
be a
not my
human
point.
right.
But that's not my point. My point isn't that, you know, you shouldn't be able to rely on a program in a time of need. Like, there should be, you know, like we have first aid responders, like, you know, in like times of national crisis. Like, yeah, you know, when thousands and thousands of people lose their job, there should be a program that lasts, I don't know, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, you know, to help these people who've lost their jobs and lost their health care get back on their feet. But it shouldn't be a perpetual thing. That's what I'm saying.
You think in one of the richest countries of the world, it shouldn't be a human right to have health care? And instead,
oh my God, really?
It's not a human. It's not. It's a human right. To say that it's a human right means that you have the right to enslave all the healthcare workers. All right, so that you can be treated.
I don't think that healthcare is a human right necessarily. Now, should you be able to go see a doctor if you're sick? Oh, absolutely. But you know what? It's not like, you know, you have the right to breathe air, or you know what I'm saying. Like, healthcare is not. It's just not the same. It's not at the same level. At least I don't think so.
So when you get cancer, for example, you think it's good that people have to decide if they want to go bankrupt and maybe their whole family, or if they want to die. That in the richest country of the world.
You know what? I have lupus. Do you know what lupus is?
I
roughly, yeah.
I know of it. I don't know exactly.
Lupus is a chronic autoimmune disorder in which your immune system attacks the healthy cells in your body. It can attack anything from your skin to your vital organs. With insurance, the medications that I need to be on total $500 a month. I can't afford that. So I literally had to make a decision. This is with insurance. Do I just not take the meds and just roll the dice every day? Or do I go bankrupt trying to take my meds? So it doesn't matter how rich the country is.
Well, no, and I think this whole argument is pretty moot, and I'll tell you why. Because if you're sick, if you're deathly sick, you can go to the ER. You don't even have to pay the bill back, really. Let's be honest, people. You could rack up those ER bills all day long, okay?
I have not paid an ER bill in a long time.
Yeah, so we already have the emergency health care you're talking about. Now you're talking about, oh my God, I have the flu. Fuck off if you can't pay the doctor. Take some fucking Robitussin. You know what I mean? I haven't seen a doctor in 10 years, for God's sake. I have insurance.
I think
Still haven't gone.
I think if you can't afford it, you shouldn't go contracting diseases. Just stop doing it.
Oh yeah, don't go all Charlie Sheen.
The thing is that it's not something, all right, that should be I'm not saying that you shouldn't help people with their medical needs, but the government shouldn't be doing it. Okay?
No,
because when the government gets involved in this, all right, this is the problem. When the government gets involved in it, all right, then they can start dictating things like, well, since we're the ones paying for health care, you have to live a healthier lifestyle. The reality is that they become the ones in charge of rationing healthcare, because you will never have a perfect system where the doctor you need is always going to be available 100% of the time with what you need, the drug you need, and everything. You're never going to find it for everybody. There's never a perfect system.
You have this system in England, you have it in Germany, you have it in all Scandinavia.
And you have waiting times in Germany and in England and all sorts of things. And in Germany, and I happen to know a little bit about the system in Germany.
Yeah, that's true. You have waiting times. If it's not an emergency. At the moment it is an emergency, you don't have waiting times.
No,
it's
triage. Have the money, do they not come to America for their health care? Yes or no?
Depends what they want.
If they can afford it, do they not still come to America for their health care? Yes or no?
No.
Depends what kind of treatment.
No, nobody goes to
occasionally. Yeah, I mean, cancer.
You're high if you think that. We get over 60,000 people from Canada every year coming to the United States for health care.
Yeah, stupid.
They're not
stupid. Simply
the thing is, I don't understand why people would do that, because, say, in England, we have the NHS, but as you said, that's more for sort of emergency, and it's basic, because you can get
it comes down to the fact that there are waiting times. There are, in certain countries, they have their national health stuff, but you have to wait 2-3 weeks to see a doctor. Well, if it's an immediate situation, you just found out that you have gangrene and your doctor wants you to wait, or your government wants you to wait 2 months before you go see a doctor. Well, you're losing a leg, or you travel down into America and go to the first hospital and they treat you.
Sorry, that is simply not true. I was living
gangrene or something. You'd be immediately into the actual emergency.
Well, it's not true.
That was hyperbole to prove a point.
Well, it's not true of gangrene. It is true of cancer. Because cancer is not considered an immediate treatment generally, all right? They will sit up there and put you on a waiting list, and the way that waiting list works in Canada is by, okay, what's your age and how much are you going to be paying into the system for us to save you? And I have seen it this way.
Well, no.
And what happens is,
not even that. Really, we have a socialized healthcare system. It's the VA, and how is that working for America?
Well, in some places VA is really good, in some places VA is really, really bad.
Yeah, but the point is, right, say, for example, the same thing could be in Canada too. I'm sure it is. The National Health Service that exists is not all that's available. You have loads of private, health insurance companies that you can go to, and you can get yourself bumped up the list. That's one of the problems that people have been complaining about. Well, they say it's a problem. I think it's perfectly reasonable. But, if you're willing to pay extra, you can go to a private clinic. Well, what's wrong with that? That's perfectly reasonable.
And that is in England too. I mean, I know many people in England, even though that they have the free healthcare, they have a private insurance on top, so that they don't have any waiting times at all and better service and so on. But if you have like a really bad illness, like cancer or whatever, you name it, then you go to the NHS and it's for free.
Yeah,
you don't go bust on a
you will never end up going bankrupt because you're sick. Yes. That's the difference. There is no bill to be paid unless you. I mean, you're obviously if you're paying for your insurance policy, then but that's personal choice, whatever. But even if you do that, your national insurance contributions, which is how the NHS is funded, your NHS contributions basically supplement your private health insurance. So you can use your national insurance
If it's
contributions.
working so well, how come they're redoing the entire thing, trying to figure out how to pay for it?
Because they're constantly fucking with it. And the reason that we got problems with it... No, seriously, Mad, this is... Sorry, MC. This is one of the major problems we've had with the fucking governments of... Well, it's certainly in my lifetime. The NHS has never actually been allowed just to get on with its job. Every time there's a change in government, every time there's a change in minister, health minister, they start fucking about with it. So they are spending so much money on administration just to try and work out what they're actually meant to be doing today. It is insane because of policy decision, constant policy change.
In other words, the government changes, and all of a sudden now you once again got to sit up there and deal with the fact that it's a different rationing system. It's a rationing system for healthcare. No matter how.
Normally it's down to the bureaucracy of it. That's where the major waste goes. The healthcare itself is not bad.
Right. Well, a lot of that's true, but a lot of it's because you've got a different set of priorities because of somebody else saying that I want to focus on this type of disease versus that type of disease, so that you realign the priorities of what you're going to ration and how the rationing takes place. That's why this is all happening to you.
Yes, but you have the same thing with. I mean, don't think about the private companies. They go on about death panels with things like health services and stuff, and the judgment calls of a bureaucrat. Well, you got the judgment calls of the boardroom, and you've also got the people who who will deny payment on policies because they find. I mean, I think they can't do it now, but certainly they used to do that all the time with pre-existing conditions. They find anything where you hadn't pre-disclosed that you had a yeast infection, and then they just deny you the treatment that you had on some spurious reason. Or, they wouldn't deny you treatment necessarily, but they'd deny you the funds.
Well, a lot of that abuse is still once again directly caused by a lot of what the government required.
No, and I want to ask another question. All right, so right now in America, doctors either go in to be surgeons or go into the public sphere, or they go and be plastic surgeons and make a shit ton of money. So if you make this all government controlled with a certain set amount of salary, why would these doctors not just go be plastic surgeons?
But
you're going to lose.
This is what I don't understand.
You're going to lose all your surgeons.
Why are you saying that it's? Why are you saying it's all going to become that? There's no. I don't think anyone's calling for that. I don't. Like I said, in England we have the National Health Service, but we have private health clinics.
That would be the effect in the United States. Is that's where doctors
it's got to be all or nothing.
All right. So what will happen is that from a government standpoint, there won't be people that'll be willing to work for the government. So how's the government going to get people? What you have going on right now is a prime example. Right now, the doctors in this country, one of the things that's happening to Obamacare, is many of the clinics and many of the doctors are refusing to take Medicare and Medicaid down, all right, because they're not paying the bills. Because it's going through the government bureaucracy, they're not getting paid on time, and when they do get paid, it's a fraction of what they were supposed to be paid. And then they've got to go through the idea of fighting not just an insurance company now, they've got to fight the government because the government's mandating these decisions on them.
Well, no, and let's think about this at a practical matter. Okay, you go through, how long do you have to go through college to be a doctor? 10 years almost?
Well,
how much financial aid and loans do you have to take to do that? A lot. So if you're going into a government-controlled healthcare system where they have a set salary for everybody for whatever job, which is what single payer would eventually do, I think. Or you can go into the private sector where you give somebody a freaking nose job or a facelift and you get fucking $1 million.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be the but it wouldn't be the case, would it? Because then there'd be so many people dying, there wouldn't be anyone who could afford a bloody facelift or a nose job.
Well, there will always be people that will be able to afford nose jobs. There'll just be fewer doctors.
It's going to be a lot smaller.
There'll be fewer doctors is what'll happen. And then what'll happen is
that's what I'm saying. Fewer doctors, fewer treatments, people die younger.
And so what will happen is the federal government
will be less people getting facelifts.
Right.
You only need a facelift when you're old, right? So you'd have less chance of getting old. So therefore those jobs would actually become less viable. That's a free market, baby.
What'll happen is the federal government will then become more involved in, all right, who's allowed to be a doctor, and they'll lower the standards, all right, to who can be a doctor and who can't be a doctor. All right, to try and drive in the number of people into the field, all right, to try and accommodate that. That's what's going to happen, is then they're going to sit up there and come back and start saying, okay, these are how the doctors are. You're going into the doctor's field. They will start regulating doctors to such a degree, nobody will want to become a doctor. That's what will happen in the United States.
Why in the United States and not anywhere else?
Because the United States, in case you haven't seen it yet, does everything to the maximum nth degree. It goes from one side to the other. If we were a normal country, a nice homogenous country, you wouldn't see the wild swings that you see in the United States politics. These are massive swings.
Well, I mean, if that's what they're suggesting, then yeah, it's ridiculous. But
all right.
I don't see anyone suggesting that anyway.
And the other thing about it is it comes down to the bureaucracy and how the bureaucracy is going to function. All right. If you sit up there and went to a single payer healthcare system, all that's going to happen is everyone's costs are going to go increase simply because the federal government's going to increase. It's going to have to, which means more bloated bureaucracy, less treatment going to the patients. Look at one of the things, for example, in this healthcare fiasco. All right, one of the things that Obamacare mandated was that they start taking surveys of people who had firearms in their house when they came in for treatment, as part of that, that little checklist of, have you had colds, are you on medicines, all that stuff. That's one of the questions the federal government started mandating. This is the United States. We don't do things in a common sense manner generally.
Well, yeah, we all know you're a bit odd, but I didn't think you were that strange.
Yeah, but what is the conclusion of that? Everything should be done as ridiculous as possible because you are not smart
No, it's
enough?
because once you hand people power, they take that power and run with it. There was a reason why the governments were in the United States were set up to prevent this from happening, because the structure of our government was supposed to be, here's what the government cannot do. And that's what's been happening, is people have been ignoring that. And the federal government has gotten more and more bloated because it's been allowed to happen continuously in a drift ever since World War II.
Absolutely, and this is one of the major reasons that we want to get out of the European Union, because that's doing exactly the same thing. Federal systems are dangerous. They will overreach, and our government's been using the European Union as an excuse for an awful lot of shitty decision making.
Cabbage, also. No, Cabbage, you segued for me. All right, so speaking of the EU and everything like that, Catalonia again. It was about 90% in favor of secession. Why is that bad, MC?
Why is what bad? Well, first of all comes this question which I always have yet to get answered. Who's counting the votes?
Oh, I do not know. That is a very good question, sir.
Right? It's obviously not the Spanish government counting the votes. So who's counting the votes? It's the same people. It's the same people who said we want independence. It's the same people who pushed the referendum. So when and the other question that I've had was, okay, well, how many people were voting in this? From everything that I'd seen so far, all right, it was less than 50% of the population. Now that may or may not be accurate. It's impossible. It's impossible.
No way. A lot more than that.
Come on now. Come on. You know why they didn't vote? They were getting beaten in the streets.
I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that at all.
You see, there's a difference between how many people managed to vote because of the police interference and the amount of polling stations that were shut down and things. So.
I don't disagree with that. All right, I don't disagree that's the case. What I'm saying is that it's impossible to verify those numbers. Okay, so what you're hearing now is everyone's shining it up the way they want it to be.
Yes, exactly, which proves the point that it should have been able to have been done without interference.
Hold on, their highest court had already ruled on this and said doing this was illegal.
Yeah, but their reasoning behind that legality.
Regardless, they are the law. Is the Supreme Court of the land the law of the land or not?
Well, they have their own parliament. It depends on how they implement.
Here we go again. I'll be the crazy libertarian in the room. No, it's not. If the people want separation, sir.
I disagree with you. It's still the law of the land. Either you come to a set of agreements. All right. Now, I realize after many discussions with Cabbage here that the U.S. system is when it comes to the judiciary is completely different. Okay. But the law of the land, the finality of the Supreme Court is either agreed upon or not. And in the United States, it's agreed upon whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I was going to use Scotland as an example, but that's
not exactly true.
Good one.
It's not exactly true, because many lawyers said if the referendum votes for leaving Spain, that is not possible. But voting to have the referendum, that is completely not against the law. I mean, you can vote on everything. You know what I'm saying?
If the Spanish government, well, all I saw was that from what I was reading on it was the Spanish government declared that the vote was illegal.
Yes, the government said
it. If the vote is illegal, the vote is illegal. Now, I'm not saying that the Spanish government should have gone in there with freaking jackbooted thugs and started ripping people and beating people on the street. That's not what I'm saying.
No, but the thing is, we're only talking about laws at the moment. And when the government of Spain can say whatever they want, they have laws in place. And you can have an election about whatever you like. So that is not against the law in Spain. They said it is against the law because they don't want to see the result of it.
Well, did they go to did they go to their highest court in the land and get it declared to be illegal before the vote even took place?
Not as far as I know.
Right.
The lawyers I heard, they all said, yeah, even if the referendum is 100% pro leaving Spain, that doesn't matter. There is no legal how can I say it?
Well, then what's the legal basis upon taking the vote?
Legal basis on leaving Spain, but you can't deny that the people can vote on it.
Oh, no, I think I disagree with you. There's one thing to sit up there and do a poll. That's another thing to vote. That's a whole different thing.
No, because Catalonia, I mean, they've got their own, districts and regions.
Well, and that's to be honest, I have to back off a little bit from that standpoint, because it isn't the United States. The United States has different rules when it comes to this kind of stuff, and it has different rules when it comes to the superiority of the Supreme Court and what its capabilities are supposed to be and what its capabilities aren't supposed to be, vis-a-vis the rest of the structure of the government.
Yeah, I mean, Catalonia has a degree of autonomy, put it that way.
Wait a minute, though. MC, are you saying that we should totally disregard their vote? Like it doesn't matter that they want to leave Spain?
Of course he is. It's establishment. He believes that no government should ever be questioned.
That isn't true.
The question, what is the next step? What will happen next in Spain? That is a big question. I mean, is this starting another civil war, or what is happening now?
Oh, geez, the last thing you need is another Franco.
Well, that's one of the things that did concern me was how quickly the Spanish coalesced with that kind of a mindset. That was kind of surprising, actually. Because I can see another civil war happening, and I can see the rise of another Franco.
You see, it would make more sense if they did, kind of what we did with Scotland. Fine, have your referendum. I mean,
but
we had, the
situation.
Well, no, sorry. Yeah, but they should devolve more powers. Well, I mean, before the referendum for the independence thing, prior to that, we'd already devolved powers back to the country itself, which gave them the ability to have a referendum if they wanted to. So they have their own parliament. They've got a lot of you know, they can set an awful lot of their own laws, an awful lot of their own.
The problem is that this is Catalan is the center of the economic power in Spain. So if they would leave Spain, then Spain is more or less bust. When Spain goes bust because they are too big that the European Union can save them, then the whole European Union will collapse.
Yeah, you
So
fix that overnight.
It triggers a chain reaction, and that is a problem.
You can fix it overnight. Stop taking fucking siestas. Simple. Boom. Problem solved.
I don't think it's that simple. I could be wrong, but I have my doubts of how easy that would be.
No, but that is the essential problem, that it can trigger like a really huge economic crisis that goes around the world.
Spain's already
That's the
fucked.
problem.
I mean, the pigs, you know, Portugal, Italy, Spain, Greece.
Pigs, is that what you called them?
We call them pigs, yeah. Portugal, Italy, Greece, and Spain. Those are the pig countries. They're the ones who are effectively bankrupt. They're the ones that are being supported now by the European Union, you know,
Exactly.
the central bank.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's already it's already underwater. It's having to borrow at ever and ever increasing levels. So, you know, even with the Catalan, you know, injection
Even with
of
the
cash.
Catalan, they are already almost bankrupt. But if they leave, they are completely bankrupt right away.
You're in deep shit sunshine when we leave, because the Germans are going to have to take up the bill because the French won't pay shit. You know that. The French never pay for anything if they can get away with it.
That's not my concern when it comes to secession. If they leave and they're bankrupt, that's on them. They want to leave, let them go.
No. We have a single market and we have a single currency. That if they leave, the euro crashes at the same day. That is the problem. That makes it so tricky.
That's not a problem for me. I don't really much care about the euro.
For the British.
You are completely wrong. When the euro crashes, then the dollar will crash, then the yen will crash. That's a global crisis.
Yeah, it is because the international monetary markets, I mean, they're so interlinked. I mean, and it's not like it's a small amount of the European
If
Union,
the euro
including
crashes,
Britain,
the
is
United
bigger
States will see a
than the
temporary. We'll still definitely see a temporary downturn, especially if it goes across the you know, trading sphere.
There'll be a lot of
if the dollar, the yuan, or the not the yuan, the yen, dollar, yen, or euro, whatever crashes first will take down the other two as well.
Well, you know, look what happened with Britain, you know, during Black Wednesday when it was Soros, wasn't he? He dumped all of his money into Deutschmark. You know, he dumped all of his pounds, his UK sterling into Deutschmarks. And we fucking crashed our economy. You know, he plunged our economy into a sort of mini recession.
Well,
Soros done that a number of times.
Well, wait a minute, though.
He's a prick,
There's a simple solution to this whole mess. Base your currency on something real, i.e. gold, silver, copper, for God's sake. I don't care what. But don't make fiat currency. Don't say it is, therefore it is. No.
That is partially correct what you say. That is one solution to make it based on something precious. The other solution would be don't create an infinite amount of this currency. It can be a fiat currency, but there can be an infinite amount.
Yeah, fiat is not the actual problem, because a fiat is basically just an IOU. I mean, that's fine. It just depends what the IOU is based upon. And I agree, but it can be a commodity basket. It doesn't even have to be, you know, precious metals. Like you said, it could be copper, it could be aluminium, it could be this, that, you know, an amalgamation of different, but at least you know that those assets are actually available.
It could be seashells. It doesn't matter as long as you don't print more and more and more.
Let's go back to salt.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, guys, I want to say two little things here. The first, hello everyone, and second, this is for Princess Buttercup. You might take our lives, but you'll never take our freedom.
That was a Scotsman, yes.
Nice, man. I almost forgot you were Irish.
Oh, you're Irish? I saw the Scotch.
Well, I'm a lot of things. Most people just call me a
I
cunt.
messed
Sorry,
up
I
one
didn't
night. I messed up one night on the RedEye. I called him Scottish. I got chewed out for like 20 minutes. So watch out.
I'm very sorry. That was not on purpose.
Well, that's like, you know, calling an Australian, you know, a Kiwi. They don't like that.
Yeah, but they're basically the same thing anyway, so fuck them.
Well, that would be my opinion about the Irish and the Scots. No.
Well, they're
Yeah,
of Celtic origin.
You're a dumb yank and don't know better, so. You know.
God damn it. How many times do I have to tell you I'm not a Yank, boys?
Yankee Doodle Dandy.
So what fun subjects are we talking about tonight?
Oh, God, man.
Well,
We
the
started with
Vegas
a monologue on gun control and the Vegas shooting. Now we went into healthcare and fiat currency. So we're going hardcore tonight.
Actually, just going back to the Vegas thing, it's really weird that they haven't got any further information about this guy. It's like there is nothing about him that makes it look like he would do this thing.
Well, actually, his dad was
really bizarre.
His dad was a bank robbing psycho.
Yeah,
he was
Oregon.
Yeah,
No,
his dad was on the FBI's most wanted list.
Yeah, and he was from Oregon. I was like, oh, fuck. Like, really?
But I'll be honest with you, I think it's just a guy who came to the end of his life, 64 years old, and said, fuck it, if I'm going out, I'm taking as many people with me. I think that'll be the story. He won't be left or right or ISIS or anything like that shit. He'll just be someone who
At
went
this
psycho.
point, we don't know, but one of the things that's bugging the shit out of me right now is that they have not released what those weapons were.
Yeah. And by the way, did you see the shots at the hotel afterwards?
Yeah, I have. And the reason it bugs me is like, okay, you want to sit up there and tell people, okay, what weapons were used so that we have an idea what was going on. They don't want to tell us what weapons were used. They just said, oh, these things like, these things like, these things like. I want to know whether or not this guy had a heavy machine gun, because that's what it sounded like. All right, when I was listening on that audio, and I'm not talking an M16 on full auto or an AK-47 on full auto. I'm talking about.
That sound like a GPMG.
But can
I ask you a question, MC?
Mm-hmm.
But can you explain why
the guy was 32 stories up, meaning he had to be at least 300 to 400 meters or more away from the people. So, in your estimation, what kind of gun would he have used to cover that distance?
Oh, any kind of heavy machine gun, anything with a 308 round or a 7.62 round would be normally what you're going to use for something like that.
Okay,
even an M16 round.
Yeah, he wasn't looking for accuracy. He was spraying.
Even a 5.56 millimeter round, all right, will travel that distance. Although from an accuracy standpoint and a tumbling standpoint, it'll start to change its trajectory quite a lot.
But
right?
can you
400 yards with an M16 round is really stretching it. Now, an M60, which is basically a 7.62, that goes out to about 1,500. Effective range is about 1,500 yards.
Yeah, but like I said, they're not looking for accuracy. All you want but it certainly sounded a lot higher caliber than just a, like, 7.16 or something like that. You could tell from the echoes.
Can you explain
what I heard there real quick? You guys can continue on. But from what I heard, they found over 11 guns in the room. I heard as high as 16. They found equipment to turn a semi-auto into a fully auto, which you can get at a gun show. You can do that. They tell you not to use. You can. They also found suppressors, not silencers. This guy was armed for war, man.
Yeah, the thing is that while you're correct in what you're saying about the conversion kits, though you still have to go through the FFL license in order to have those legally.
Well, don't forget, you can also just shave a little bit off the trigger mechanism. I mean, that's how you get,
Well, in an M16, to take an AR-15 and turn it into an M16, it's a little bit more than shaving stuff off. Although it is not extraordinarily difficult. It is easy to do. But you do have to do it in a machine shop, and you have to at least know what you're doing. All right. It's not difficult. It's not extensive. All right. But it isn't something that's as easy as people think it is. Now, that being said, the thing is when you hear those rounds going off, when you first hear that first round going off, if you've been in the military for any length of time and been on ranges as many times as I've been on ranges, you can tell the difference between light arms fire and heavy machine gun fire. Now, yes, there are things that affect the sound. Obviously, the quality of the listening device. Also, the fact that you're in an area that's echoing, can make things sound a little different than they normally would. But that sure as hell didn't sound like an M16 to me, and it didn't sound like a squad automatic weapon, which is normally what they use nowadays with the 5.56. It sounded like a much deeper caliber because the thump was
the tone. Yeah, the tone level was boom, 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 boom. It wasn't bim, 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 bim. There is a distinct difference.
Well, am I wrong, or can you not buy an M16 legally right now? You have to buy the AR, right? That's a civilian issue.
You have what you can purchase. The difference between an M16 and an AR-15 are a couple of pins and the drill placement holes on the lower receiver. So if you know what those differences are and you get those pins, I mean, a pin is just a piece of metal, for crying out loud. You could sit up there and turn an AR-15 into an M16 very easily. All right. However, you cannot purchase the lower receiver of an M16. It's illegal unless you have an FFL.
But MC, can you explain why is it important? I don't get the point.
It's a difference between semi-auto and fully automatic.
Yeah, okay, but why does it matter?
Because the federal government has mandated that only special people are allowed to have machine guns.
So it's all, what you care about is if his weapons were legal or not. That is the only question.
Well, no, because in the case, the reason I'm wondering about this is that if he has a heavy machine gun, okay, my question is how do you get those? You don't get those off the street. Okay, that is not something that you can walk into a frickin' gun store in the United States and just purchase.
You could have done if it was before, what, 1980 something?
You could have done it if it was before 20 or something like that. Or
No, 1980 something.
There's been laws against the machine guns for a lot longer than the 1980s.
Yeah, since the Tommy gun days, only special people are allowed to use the Tommy gun.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Bugsy Malone days.
Yeah, there is a grandfather clause, but the weapon has to be of past, I think, has to be done earlier than 1918. You have to have been able to establish that the weapon was actually older than 1918.
Yeah, and you are allowed to give a firearm to a family member, a direct family member. Like I can leave my 12 gauge to my son when I die. Or if I owned a Tommy gun that I got from my great grandfather, the same thing would apply, correct?
Correct. If it's as long as that specific Tommy gun is that age, yes, that is true.
Yeah, but I mean, that didn't sound like a Gatling gun to me.
No.
Look, you're going back a bit, lad.
But no,
the
reason I'm curious about it is that, okay, a heavy machine gun isn't something that's just you're not going to find them on the street. All right, very few people have them. Now, this guy was supposedly fairly rich, so the cost factor wasn't there for him. But even if you get an FFL to purchase something like an M60, all right, you're talking about $15,000. And that's if you've got the licenses and the government has said, okay, we're going to grant you, for whatever reason, this permission to do it. And it's a federal permission. It's not a state permission. It doesn't matter what the state said. You still got to sit up there and be licensed by the federal government to have a machine gun.
Okay, so you think that he either bought it illegally or it was provided by some group, let's say ISIS or North Korea or whomever?
Well, I don't know if ISIS was involved in it. I kind of doubt it. All right, but if it's a heavy machine gun, I suspect it was provided to him by some group. I suspect probably a cartel, one of the Mexican cartels.
Why would the cartels want to shoot up a hotel though?
I don't think they did. I think it was just money.
I think that they were selling it. I don't think that they were worried about what it was being used for.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Because
That's right. Probably came back in the, what was it, Fast and Furious? What was the the guns that were being sold? Yeah, Fast and Furious thing. Yeah.
It's a Jewish plot.
It's a Jewish plot.
It's always the Jews. We all know that.
Fucking source is somewhere laughing.
You guys are something else. No, but that's the reason why I'm curious about it. Because
did you guys see the video of the guy standing up in the middle while your guy was shooting, and he just stood there egging him to shoot him? Did you see that?
Yeah, well, no. the guy was a typical American of the point he looks to the left. I can't run there. I can't run to the right. I'm stuck here. Screw it.
Fuck you.
Hands up in the air like and just come on, you fucker, you know. That was ballsy.
Yeah, but it was interesting seeing it afterwards. You know, there were 2 shooting positions in that suite that he had. Did you notice there was 2 windows that had been blown out?
Yeah.
Because I thought it would have been from a balcony, but obviously he had to shoot through his own glass. You know, the suite glass. So, and he had 2 separate shooting positions. So he was moving between 2. You know, I mean, he I don't know.
He had an awesome field of fire.
Yeah. And it was right on a corner as well. It was on a corner, so he had 2 angles of attack.
Yes.
And remember, he wasn't shot by the police. He shot himself by all reports. Is that correct?
Well, that's what they're saying. But once again, I'll be honest with you. At this point in time, we haven't heard enough. We don't know enough. One of the things that bugs me about...
If the cop shot him, then who's going to give a shit? Would you care?
It isn't a matter of it's how much misinformation gets put out there, whether intentional or unintentional. It's like listening to the FBI say there's no evidence of foreign intervention or anything else. Now, all that might be true, and they may not have any evidence of that. But the FBI's ability to gather foreign intelligence requires their ability to utilize other agencies' assets and to get that information and to find that information and then delve into it. It isn't something the FBI can do on its own.
Well, right, because the FBI is a domestic organization. The CIA care of foreign surveillance and
theoretically.
So it would need other cooperation on something like that. And we're at the beginning stages of this. It's going to be a while before anybody sees any of this stuff.
But have you not noticed? I mean, like, say, for example, with 9/11, like, almost immediately, they had the names of all the people. Like, they knew everything about them and where they come from. After a lot of these things, I mean, it doesn't take that long for them to gather the information. And it's odd that his wife suddenly turns up in, where was it, Mexico or something?
The thing about that was, which made 9/11 very damning to a lot of people, is that the majority of those people were already on the FBI's radar. The FBI knew about these people ahead of time. That's why they had this information already readily available, because they'd already been investigating these guys. They just hadn't gone anywhere with it.
If you believe in the report.
Well, that's another good point.
MC, actually, before I forget about it, just a second, it just popped in my head. How do you feel about the government releasing the JFK papers? They're supposed to do that by the 22nd or something like that.
26th,
I believe.
They can reseal them, though, I believe, can't they?
No, see, Donald Trump could put an end to it if he wants. My question is, will he? They're supposed to release all the redacted stuff that they already released without the redactions. And then they're going to release 3,000 pages of unreleased information ever.
I hope they do.
Yeah.
If the only reason why he would redact, the only reason that he wouldn't release it is if we have evidence of if there's foreign entities involved in it. If there's evidence of foreign entities involved.
Well, like I said, they can reseal them again. There's no guarantee.
I was the second gunman on the grassy knoll.
Well,
that's what they don't want to fucking release. Hey guys, Wolfshot.
How you doing?
Hey Wolfshot,
Hey,
how's it going?
It's good. Fucking. I bet.
How was
I know
your
you.
how was your birthday except for the last
Well,
part of it?
it's a birthday now. Happy birthday, Wolfie.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I know everybody's talking about the Vegas thing. And I just want to say my heart goes out to them. I got family out there. Thankfully, they weren't. They were going to, but they didn't. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how close that shit touches you. You know? So what I'm going to say is, like, hug your loved ones. Keep them close, you know. 5 more minutes is all you got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but no, I had a great birthday.
We found out, you know, with the Manchester attack, like you said, you know, you learn just how easily, how quickly people's lives can change just in a drop of a hat.
Yeah, man. But yeah,
but I still blame the country and Western music. I think that's what drove the man to do it.
Fuck.
Hey, Jason Aldean's not bad. I actually like Jason Aldean.
Actually, I listened after Wolfshop posted a number of pictures of the guy called Granger Smith. Is that the correct name?
Yeah, I met him last night.
I listened to a number of his singles after seeing your posts, you know, thinking I'll find out what this guy is like, and he sucks.
Cool.
I'm not joking. His America song, it's where it was written by a 3-year-old.
It's supposed to be a joke.
Oh, it's a satire.
Yeah, don't worry. The Irish don't get sarcasm or jokes.
It's a joke.
Okay.
Ah, you stick to your side of the border, you yank.
Oh, what? Fucking Irish bastard.
I mean,
no, he calls you a yank. You've got to call him Scottish.
I got to meet. You know, I like him a lot. I got to meet the man. I was the only one who got to meet him. You know, shake his hand, all that. He signed my hat. It was fucking great. So.
That's awesome. We'll try. And I would like to say happy birthday also.
Thank you.
No, I wasn't trying to make it political, but the news did that themselves. So I went ahead.
No, every fucking politician made it political when they made it about their stupid ass agendas. They couldn't say, I'm sorry. No, they got to be like, I'm sorry, but no, there's no but. It's just shut the fuck up.
No, and Wolfshot, I've been in a fight all day with literally Geordi from Star Trek. Literally, Geordi.
With who?
Geordi from Star Trek.
Geordi the Forge.
What are they saying? What?
I've been in a Twitter fight with them all day over gun control. He immediately posted about gun control, and I immediately hit him back, and I kicked the hornet's nest. Like my twits, you know, Twitter is still going off. Like,
well, I don't want to. You know, I'm not gonna say my opinion until I get all the facts. I'm sorry I sound terrible. I've been yelling and, you know, hooting and hollering and being fucking white trash and shit. That's what I do best.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say anything. I figured you were at the concert, so you kind of went a little hoarse, you know.
Yeah, you know, I'm white trash. That's what we do. But I want to get I want to get everything we can possibly get without compromising the case before I make, you know, a serious judgment or decision.
No, but on the lighter side, it still has to do with Vegas. But did you see the picture of the guy holding a beer, flipping off the shooter, just standing there like
that would be me. You know. That would be my fucking dumbass being like, "Shoot me, bitch!"
No,
I'm right here, motherfucker.
No, he didn't get shot though. He's perfectly fine. So I mean,
that guy.
There's a little redneck in all of us.
Yeah, that man needs a fucking medal. Give that man a medal. Fucking Kid Rock's got to come out of somewhere and give that man a medal.
Yeah, fucking hey. But you know what really sucks though is I don't know how it feels to be Jason Aldean right now. That was at his concert, right?
Well, it's like being Ariana Grande. You know what I'm saying? At Manchester.
Yeah, yeah. What do you do after that? Do you do another show? Do you keep on going?
Well, that's what Ariana Grande did. She went back and did the show anyway.
Well, she canceled her European show or tour for about like 3 or 4 months, and then she went back.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck he is gonna do. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do.
I don't think there's any particular social protocol
you
for
think
these
he's just gonna be a
situations.
good old boy and fuck it, go to the next show like he'll be playing tonight somewhere? You know.
That'd be cool if he was.
Well, I know Luke Combs, who shit, we go back way back. He's from North Carolina. And I used to see him in little tiny dive bar shitholes. And he was at that concert. And he was going to go on the late night show, or so, he was going to tape the late night show with Jimmy Fallon or whatever the fuck, and talk about it and shit. I don't know if he's still doing it though. And he's going to dedicate a song to what happened last night. I know that.
Yeah. No, and on another sad note, is Tom Petty dead or alive?
He's dead. He's fucking dead. He's dead.
Cap just told me in the chat that he's still alive. I don't know if he's dead or alive. They're going back and forth all day.
He's dead.
Well, that makes me sad. I grew up, my mom loved Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I grew up listening to that music. Last Dance with Mary Jane, my favorite Tom Petty song.
From everything that I've read with Tom Petty, he's either dead or he's going to be dying soon. Because according to what they were saying is that when he got to the hospital, he had no brain activity. And that's different than saying low brain activity. They said he had no brain activity.
Yeah, they're saying that full cardiac arrest.
No, and isn't that messed up? Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers dies from a heart attack. Damn. Damn you, 2017. Damn you to hell.
Well, I think 2017 kind of started out shitty, but that's just my opinion because I'm an asshole. Because, you know.
No, but does anybody else see the irony, or am I just a cynical asshole? Like, is that what's going on here?
Are you talking about our Cheeto in chief, or are you talking about the fact that he's dying from a heart attack because he's the Heartbreakers? It's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
That's right. That's what I'm talking. Like, his heart broke. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
We're all Tom Petty right now, or we were. Well,
Who's Tom Petty?
Tom Petty is a
oh my God,
country
did you say who is Tom Petty? I should boot you.
Free Fallin'. You hear that song? Free Fallin'. I hate that fucking song so much.
Actually, I like that song.
Last Dance with Mary Jane. That's all he did.
Fucking hate that song.
That's because you're a lesbian.
Country and Western will drive anyone.
What does that have to do with me being a fucking lesbian?
Because you don't want to.
Straight people like that song.
Cool.
Oh, I thought what I said was funny, but I guess not. It fell flat. All right. So
never heard you.
Oh, what I said was
it's the layup. You got to lay it up better.
Yeah.
I was never a fan of Tom Petty. I was never a fan.
Tom Petty's either dead or alive, but probably gonna die, which is sad. He was a great musical legend.
He was okay.
And I actually kind of wish I had Mole or somebody in here that is a musician, so they could talk about him. So, Mole, if you're hearing me, join, you bitch. Anyway.
He was okay.
Anyway, I think we beat to death Las Vegas, but Catalonia we only touched on for what, 5 minutes? I mean, really,
I don't know much.
I
don't know much about Spanish fucking shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
They want
I
us
don't
to see
either.
it. That's all I know is that they want us to see it, and Spain is like, "Fuck you, niggas," and no. Yeah,
it reminds me of our own secession crisis, MC.
We're not having a secession crisis, bro.
We had one.
You always have
it
one
a while
with Texas.
Back,
Texas
the federal government did not march down into the South to kick off the Civil War. They were not beating people on the street or anything else.
I'm fucking triggered. I had enough. All right, motherfucker.
Fuck
Lincoln fucking maneuvered the South into firing first. That way he had a good war. Just like FDR let fucking Pearl Harbor happen. That way he had
Dude, this
a
was
good...
like 1860 what, man?
No, but the government
1861.
repeats itself over and over again.
I'm the one with the
Fucking
rebel flag
Iraq the
tattooed on
first
their
time.
fucking skin, and I am over
No,
it.
wait a minute. No, I'm ranting. Damn it. Let me rant. Iraq the first time. Oh, yeah, they're throwing babies out of incubators. Yeah, fucking right, you fucking bitches. They were not. And, the second time. Weapons of mass destruction. Oh, yeah, I didn't see any fucking chemical weapons. Did you, MC? You find any chemical weapons? The government repeatedly puts out a false flag and then repeatedly declares war directly after. That way they have the public's fucking support. That's exactly what happened during the Civil War. And
I sent you all those reports about
what are you pissing and moaning about, though?
Used, and you just blew them all off?
Dude, the person that said that the babies were being thrown out of the incubators was the daughter of the ambassador to the U.S. from fucking...
Who's throwing babies out of fucking incubators?
Kuwait. It was Kuwait.
Kuwait.
Yeah, well, that was during the Kuwait invasion, yes.
And it was bullshit. Just like Pearl Harbor, they knew it was going to happen, and they didn't stop it. They wanted war.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, you're laughing. Okay, they
Are you wearing your tinfoil hat?
No, these are
no. Okay,
not true.
Are you? Did they not see the Japanese military moving across the goddamn ocean? You're telling me they didn't notice that?
No,
well, they didn't have. No, come on, they didn't. They didn't have satellites back then. But
No, guys, I'm serious. Who is throwing babies out of incubators?
It was
during the lead up to the first Gulf War. There was an accusation by the Kuwaiti ambassador that the Iraqis were going to the hospitals and throwing their children who were in incubators out the window.
Yeah, which wasn't happening.
Didn't we say the same thing when Katrina happened in New Orleans?
Well,
looters had
babies.
I never said that the government made Katrina happen.
No, the baby.
I don't have
the police were so desperate for government help that they made up this narrative or the story that looters had got taken, or that people in the hospital got taken hostage, and that they were raping babies and shit like that. It was all over the news during Katrina.
No, I heard about looting. I didn't hear.
I guess I'm the only one who watched the fucking news. I don't know.
No, I heard about there was rape that went on in the arena, but I don't know about the babies.
Yeah, they were claiming a lot of things that they said were happening in the Superdome.
Yeah,
that didn't happen.
Yeah, because they wanted all the attention so they could get more aid or some fucking faggot shit. I don't know, man. I mean, so you're saying that about Spain, that Catalina, or the fucking Catalina wine mixer.
Catalonia.
the fucking Catalina wine mixer.
No, well, Sean, what I'm saying is that governments make false flags to progress their agendas. And what I am saying is secession is not necessarily bad. If Catalonia wants to leave, let them. If South Carolina wants to leave, let them, MC. That's what I'm saying.
If they want to leave, there is a legal process for them to do so. Follow the process.
By the voters, by the people.
That's not the process, because that's not the process to join the union.
The thing is, there's international law, and the international law says that you can only declare independence if the country agrees. If the country does not agree, you cannot declare independence. That was the same problem in the Ukraine, because the Ukrainian people had their referendum with over 90%.
Yeah, excuse me. I call bullshit on that one, because Great Britain, when Scotland wanted to leave,
I'll be right back.
But the English people didn't get a chance to vote. The Welsh people didn't get a chance to vote. The Northern Irish people didn't get a chance to vote. It was only the Scottish people who got a chance to vote on whether or not they left the UK. So that is not international law. That's nonsense.
please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the UK thing is different because Scotland is a separate country.
Well, no,
And,
it's semi-autonomous.
Okay, but it would be a totally different discussion if like Essex or Sussex or Kent or whatever want to leave. That wouldn't be possible. But Scotland has a different status.
I bet you most people would agree with it. Yeah, fuck it, do it.
No, and Melissa,
so legally, yeah, it would, yeah, but it would be very different because that's under the under England.
Exactly, and England is a country, a sovereign country, and they can prohibit that. But Scotland has a different status. In my opinion, that might be wrong. In my opinion, the United Kingdom is kind of a mini European Union. It's like a collection of countries.
No, but they are still governed by Westminster. The main government body is Westminster. Now they have some autonomous, abilities. They can tax and they can raise taxes in certain things. But they, like I said, semi-autonomous. They had devolution. Okay, that's what we call it, is the devolution.
But I think that is exactly the difference in international law, that they are autonomous.
Wait,
not autonomous, semi-autonomous. They're still ruled from.
You keep repeating international law. What makes a law international? Do all the countries have to agree on it? Because that'll never happen.
Yes. Yeah, no, they did.
And even the UN can't do anything, sir, ever. They can't move a simple freaking sanction down the line.
Yeah, but the UN, don't forget, you've also got the veto powers. So it wouldn't be that everyone has to agree. Just one country doesn't have to agree, and that fucks it up for everybody.
Yes, correct.
But in the chat, Melissa said, I did a good job swallowing the liberal bullshit. Well, maybe. But I really do see, especially when it comes to Pearl Harbor, how the fuck did the Japanese Navy make it all the way over without us seeing? When they passed right by Guam and the U.S. Virgin Islands? Are you kidding me?
I don't think you realize how big the Pacific is and how much empty ocean there is.
They didn't steam past, like near landmass or whatever. I mean,
there's no roads in the ocean, so Mark doesn't care.
Are you telling me that the U.S. Navy
satellites
watching the fucking Axis powers before we even joined the war?
All right, first of all,
there's
this
evidence.
is before radar has been put on most ships.
Yeah. They didn't have any sensory equipment to locate these things. I mean, remember, Midway was more luck than judgment.
Well, it was at least, they put themselves in the best position because they had good intelligence from intercepts, not because, and those intercepts were because they had intercepted communications on enemy, Japanese held islands, not because they they got an intercept from any ship. The ships were in
you don't believe, okay, so do you believe no false flags have happened, or do you believe I'm just wrong with Pearl Harbor?
You're wrong with Pearl Harbor.
Many false flags have happened, and Roosevelt had intelligence information that the Japanese were attacking Pearl Harbor. That's why he removed the aircraft carriers from Pearl Harbor.
He didn't remove the aircraft carriers from Pearl Harbor. That was a total naval thing that they were doing an exercise. Yeah. It was just pure luck that they weren't there. The one thing that they did expect there to be movement, and they didn't know where the Japanese were going to be. Now, if you really want to take a look at somebody who should have been more prepared, it was MacArthur on the Philippines, because they knew the Philippines were going to be attacked.
They screwed the pooch on that bitch.
That was a slaughter.
I mean, MacArthur's left his planes on the frickin' ground to get the shit bombed out of them. And this is after we had already been attacked at Pearl Harbor. So he should have already started coming back with war plans on what he was going to do. And he basically had a nervous breakdown with not knowing what to do, and basically which was why the U.S. forces got pushed all the way into the corridor. It was an absolute disaster.
Yeah, but the thing was that there was information, but you could say maybe bureaucratically it didn't get on the right desk of the right person. But there were definitely a lot of communication intercepts. I mean, Britain was tapping the Japanese embassies and things. They were also warning about the Germans trying to use the Mexicans to invade America. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
You know, but that information was there was a lot of information that could have been available, but I mean, you know,
Who did you
maybe
say
it wasn't.
was trying to use the Mexicans to invade America?
The Germans.
Well, it looks like it succeeded.
Yeah, there you go. It just took a while.
Actually, there's a lot of debate about the Zimmerman letter because a lot of people believe that the Zimmerman letter was actually written by the British. And they basically said, look at this, you can check your own communications to find this. And so a lot of people think in the United States believe that the Zimmerman letter was actually a planted letter by the British.
Well, no, yeah, I mean they can say that.
But limey bastards. I'm just saying the British are a bunch of limey bastards. They probably did do it.
Fuck off, Yank.
I ain't no fucking Yank.
We're all Yanks to them, man. That's just how they talk. Right? We're all Yanks to y'all, right?
I don't have macaroni in my hat, motherfucker.
No.
I know, but they all call us Yanks.
Doesn't up your ass, though.
Oh, fuck you, Kevin. You're lucky we're friends. I'd fly over there just to kick you in the knee.
You'd have to get the money first there, tough guy.
Hey, donate to my Patreon. I will kick Cabbage in the knee for everybody.
This show ass motherfucker right here.
Pay-per-view.
That's right. I'm shilling my ass. Damn right, Wolfshot. Now, it's your birthday. You got any topics, Wolfshot? Or are we going to stick with my tinfoil hat thing? Because I'm kind of
No, I like your tinfoil hat shit. It amuses me greatly.
All right, awesome. So what other false flags can we think of? Oh, all right. So
Merkel is actually the descendant of Hitler. It would explain her actions.
Who?
No. Hitler survived and went to what, Venezuela or what South American country was that?
Antarctica, you fucking asshole. Don't you remember the Nazi penguin discussion?
He keeps forgetting about the penguins. He's trying to avoid the reality.
It's pissing me off.
Damn penguins.
It's fucking pissing me off. He keeps avoiding the penguin subject. This is important.
Well, the penguins will kill me if I keep talking about them.
He's been co-opted. He's one of them.
Yeah, I already sold my soul.
He's a collaborator.
I'm guessing penguins is code for Jews or something, is it?
Oh my god, nah, dude. There are some people who believe that there are Nazis hidden in Antarctica. That's not a joke.
Well, if they're still there, they're a long time frozen.
No,
well,
but to be serious,
when that came out, I came up with this whole theory, this new theory. This is my theory that the Nazis actually were a plot from the Penguins. That the Penguins were the actual Nazis, and that they set up their planted Hitler in Germany.
I think that's more feasible.
I'm guessing the night you came up with that theory, you were smoking quite a lot of weed.
Well,
he doesn't.
It makes more sense.
He doesn't smoke
weed, but he got a contact high from me over the mic.
Okay. Yeah, that's the best part. He don't smoke weed. He just.
Nope, I've never smoked. You're correct. I've never smoked weed.
He just used pharmaceuticals.
Oh my God!
Hey Benny.
Benny shows up. Fuck you,
Benny.
Benny.
Okay, hey Benny.
Benny.
What?
We're talking about Nazi penguins.
Or Shags. Sorry.
Dude, Nazi penguins, my favorite thing.
Shags.
What?
Shaggy.
Hi.
I love you.
Oh, Mad. I just uploaded my Discovery video if you want to take a look at it.
Oh, God, boy.
No.
Which episodes did you watch before
Shaggy,
I
love you.
All 1 through 3.
Oh, all 3. That should be good.
Shaggy.
I'm going to do my Trek stream Wednesday, I believe.
Touch my wiener.
You see, Mad Dog, no one cares. I'm sorry, but no
Oh,
one cares
actually,
about Star Trek.
actually, that's one of my best videos I put out lately. Was the Trek stream we did. So fuck off, Benny.
Actually, sir, Star Trek is one of the best fucking games.
Yeah, no, Star Trek kicks ass. Go fuck yourself.
Oh yeah,
I agree with
sure
Matt on
does.
this one.
Mhm. That's why it's making so many shit reviews recently. Oh, but
Discovery has no
everyone does.
redeeming features. No redeeming features.
Oh yeah, and Cabbage hates it. He just hates it.
Can we not
Cabbage.
talk about it? Because I still haven't watched it.
Don't save yourself the effort. Don't waste your brain cells.
I know.
But,
The trans fucking pigs, penguins, fucking dildo unicorns are gonna come out of fucking space or some shit. We know, Cabbage. We know.
No, you don't, 'cause you haven't watched
If it wasn't for the
Thank
killer
you.
whales and the seals, the penguins would be marching on us today.
There was a rearguard action. The fifth column.
Wait, so whose side is the sharks on, MC?
Wait, but there was an original Star Trek episode about the whales, wasn't there? If I remember correctly.
That was a film.
Yeah, where they try and
Yeah.
they transport the whale back.
I thought that was cool as shit.
No,
Well,
I
they
want
had
to
to do
know,
something
are
to
the
stop
Nazi
the freaking
penguins
Nazis
co-opting
from
this?
taking over the Federation.
And you know, in that one, they didn't need a trans person.
What is your obsession with trans people?
I'm not obsessed with them. No, I just find it fucking annoying. The whole social justice horseshit, the way they're trying to lever it into anything and everything. And it's totally disproportional.
You're the only one pissing and moaning about it right now, though.
Yeah,
You know what I think?
But that's okay, because I'm in a minority then. But, you know, when everyone, you know...
You want to know what people care about? People care about Rick and Morty. You know what I'm saying? Because last night was the season fucking finale. Oh,
good.
Oh,
Benny,
it
you
was
look
such
so
mind
cute with your beanie and the pen I got you. You look so cute.
Oh, by the way, another thing about Rick and Morty. On October 7th,
Szechuan sauce.
Yeah, McDonald's bringing back the Szechuan sauce for one day.
One day.
Wow.
I will be there.
I don't.
I will too.
On October 7th?
Yep.
October 7th.
I'll be honest with you. I don't remember it when they did it the first time, so I have to try this now.
Well, the thing
Dude, it is so good. Like, for real.
Well, the thing is that it's only gonna be in a selective, like, certain different McDonald's. Not every McDonald's is gonna do it because it's one of these like big promotions. So it's gotta be like selective McDonald's.
Oh, so you mean I've got to sit up there and research to find out which McDonald's I have to go to?
I know the fucking website because what? It's the Szechuan sauce. You don't understand.
Put it in the link. Put it in the link. Honestly, put it in the link, man.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Put it in the chat. I mean.
Go out and buy some Szechuan sauce.
All right, no, but
in any store.
I don't care about Rick and Morty or fucking McDonald's.
You better fucking care about the Szechuan sauce.
Fucking love Dunkin'.
Take care, Torsten. Torsten's heading off.
This is the burning. Oh, okay. Have a good night, our German friend.
Yeah, have a good night and
good night to you.
Have fun and
take care,
my German.
Guten Tag and stuff.
Guten Abend.
Guten Nacht.
Gute Nacht. Yeah.
Whatever.
Du hast mich nicht. No, okay.
What the hell's that?
You hate me, I think.
It's Rammstein. You hate me.
Yeah.
Rammstein.
I like Rammstein. That's brilliant.
Einstein.
But no, seriously, are the sharks working with the Nazi penguins? Do we need to kill the sharks, MC?
No. The sharks are just an annoyance on both sides. They're like freeform. That's why both sides have to attack them.
No, you see, it's cute. It's the manatees you got to worry about.
I didn't think about the manatees. You're right.
See? Yeah. See, gotta use the cuteness.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. Manatees are like
so some of the shark family is the other shark family. It's like the mob. Some of the families are cooperating, and some of them aren't.
All right, so I should just, in general,
they're like French collaborators.
I see. That's what I should do.
The sharks are like the French collaborators.
I gotta go all the way out to fucking bumfuck Egypt to get the Szechuan sauce.
Yes.
God damn it!
Where
you
did you
put
the link? Where'd you put the link, Benny?
It's in the
Hangouts. I put it in the side chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the Hangouts, not the side chat. But yeah. And
God damn it, Benny. You motherfucker.
I doubt they're even
Look,
in the
I'm
work.
giving you all the
I
information.
doubt I can get my hands on that.
Messenger.
Hey, girl.
So what's up, Melissa?
Hey, what's up?
I haven't
Yeah,
seen you
we're
in a
talking
hot
about
second, babe. It's my birthday.
We're talking about Nazi penguins and gun control. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. No, I've been on internet hiatus, so I haven't even been on Twitter that much.
Show
in the
me
last,
your
like,
shirt.
month. Oh, it's just
I like it. Where'd you get it from?
there's this like store called Plato's Closet here in Colorado Springs.
Oh, we have those too.
Yeah, that's where I usually go clothes shopping.
They got a Szechuan thing going 3 blocks away from here.
Fuck you. No, fuck you. Fuck you. And the goddamn fucking penguin you rode in on, you bitch.
How you think?
No,
I
that's a
feel the closest.
Somebody needs to get like Clint Eastwood riding a penguin and just tag MC in it on Twitter. That's great. Fuck you.
As long as it's an emperor penguin, I'm good to go.
Wolf, how you think I feel? The closest McDonald's that's going to be selling the Szechuan sauce is a half hour away from me.
Yeah, that's how far away my shit is.
Okay. The reason I wanted to pop in here is you guys started talking about something that I actually had something to say.
Go, baby.
With regards to the Pearl Harbor attack, who was that? I think it was MC, but I'm not sure.
Or Mad Dog. It's
Yeah, it was
probably
me
Mad
and MC fighting over that. Yeah.
So the reason the United States probably didn't know about it is at the time prior to World War II, people's perception on the United States military strength is widely skewed. Because, I mean, we are by far the world's military power. But in 1930s and 1920s, the United States was something like 15th on this scale. I mean, the United States, throughout most of the war, was down to one to three aircraft carriers, right? Operational aircraft carriers. Early in the Pacific War, Japan was pounding our Navy into fucking dirt, right? Because they had, by far, the largest Navy in the Pacific. I mean, it was night and day. And it was only by calculated missteps that the United States was actually able to turn the war on the high seas around. It was, I mean, they had better planes, they had more ships, they had more carriers, they had more experienced pilots, more experienced sailors, the whole 9 yards. They had everything.
I would argue against the planes. I believe the American
bullshit.
planes.
The zero.
At the start of the war,
the zero was not able to climb as fast as our planes were, and we beat them in a dogfight.
No, not at the beginning of the war.
Not at the beginning of the war. The Zero was flying circles around everything the United States had. And our torpedo bombers absolutely sucked. They sucked throughout the entire war.
Our torpedoes sucked.
Yeah, and our torpedoes sucked. Only about half of them ever would actually explode if they hit their target. Like,
no, you're probably right, but can you give me halfway through the war, our Air Force was able to outmaneuver and out.
Oh yeah. Once we got, but we started the war. Our best aircraft at the start of the war was the P-47, and it was the P-47 without the Rolls-Royce engine, right? So it really was way underpowered, right? And so the Japanese Zero, which was far nimbler and quicker, all right, could just absolutely blow it away in a dogfight.
Yeah, but it couldn't climb as high as our aircraft. That's why we were able to climb and then dive down on them, right?
No. That wasn't until we got the better engines for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
All right. Yeah. At the beginning of the war, you're probably right. But I'm saying about the middle of the war, we had a far superior aircraft than the Zero.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, obviously the Corsair was far superior. Even the Hellcat was a better fighter than the than the zero. But that, like I said, that's in the middle of the war after we've made major changes. I mean, but at the start of the war, Melissa's exactly right.
Yeah, the Japanese Navy had every single quantifiable advantage, every single one.
They
Except
really
in
did.
subs.
And except in oil. That's why they invaded China, was for the oil, because they couldn't power their military without the oil.
They didn't invade China for that. They invaded Southwest Asia for that. China they had invaded because of the other resources that they needed.
Unfair. You suck my battleship, Japan. How dare you?
I mean,
Japan did a lot more than that to China.
The proof is in the pudding.
Gonna throw that out there.
The Japanese built 3 of the largest battleships ever built. The Yamamoto class.
And the Yamato.
The Yamato class. They were by far the largest battleships ever fucking built.
They were heavily armored, heavily gunned.
Yeah, I mean, they were basically metal floating islands that just had lots of fucking cannons on them.
And the Musashi, I think, was was Yamato's primary sister ship, and when they finally sank that, they literally their crews stayed working on that ship literally to the last minute, and it actually went down with being level to the water. It just sank level to the water. That's how their crews were.
I have a question though. Was the Enterprise commissioned before or after the start of World War II? Because the Enterprise before. And the Enterprise held its own throughout the entire war, and it dropped more ships and more planes than
the Enterprise had 2 things. First of all, it went in for a number of refits. Secondly, every time it went out with its sister ships that got sank around it because it was always in a squall and never seen.
Yeah, they call it the Lucky E because the Enterprise. I was on another rendition of that ship. The Enterprise during World War II was always in these situations where, just by luck of the situation. For example, when another carrier got hit and it got taken out of the field of play. And then when the Japanese came back around a second time, they saw the Enterprise got hit. It was on fire. And they had assumed that was the ship that they had already hit. So they moved on to a different target. So and when I say the Japanese pilots, they thought they already took that ship out of commission. They're going after a different ship. And it come to find out, it was a completely different ship. And the Enterprise just ended up with the luck of the draw. Another one is, I think it was the Battle of Midway, the Enterprise was underneath a rain cloud, basically. And the Japanese pilots just didn't see it. Because, this is the days before radar was on planes and...
Well, Melissa, yeah, but 1 or 2 times can be chance or luck.
Read about its sister ship. You want to read something? Read about the Intrepid.
Yeah, the Enterprise took several beatings. And had to go into dry dock at least 2 times off the top of my head during World War II. And at one point, the Enterprise was the only operational carrier in the U.S. fleet. I mean, that's how close we came to losing the Pacific War. If Japan had taken out all our carriers, I wouldn't foresee us winning that war. Period.
I think the war would have shifted from the European area. They would have shifted to the Pacific, and we still would have won. But it would have taken a lot more trouble.
Shifted how? I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to take troops from Europe, bring them over to the United States, and then
no. We
drag them across the Pacific with an outmatched navy that you no longer can defend against?
You're forgetting.
No, we could have put the 501 and the 502 out of Europe, and we could have dropped them into the islands. And
but you're forgetting there was plenty of British forces over in that region because it was the empire at the time. So we still had, you know, all the India. I mean, most of the, you know, a lot of different countries that were, not to mention Australia and, you know, places like that. So there were resources that could have been pulled from.
There were no
but it would have
operational
been
British
still a
carriers
shitstorm
in the Pacific at the time.
No, not in the Pacific. Not at that time. They were all focused. But I'm saying that there were resources. You know, well, we could have provided troops that could have been, you know, useful.
Or what if Pearl Harbor was just a mistake? Think about that.
What the fuck, dude?
Pearl Harbor was a calculated attack by the Japanese.
If Asian people can't drive correctly, what makes you think they could probably drive airplanes?
Well, exactly. Maybe they just took a left. They took a left at the wrong place, and
if Japan had the right idea, if they had inflicted enough damage in Pearl Harbor, it would have knocked us out of the Pacific War. Period. They had the right idea. They didn't get the damage that they wanted, but it would have severely hampered. If they got our carriers while they were in dock, it would have severely hampered our ability to carry out a war in the Pacific.
Yeah, but the Pacific is so large for them to actually keep us down for any length of time. I mean, even if they'd hit the carriers, I think it would only delay things by about 6 to 8 months, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, shipbuilding production and things like that was already ramping up massively because of the, you know, support, you know, the lease lend that was going on. So, I mean, America was really, you know, producing a lot of military equipment at that time.
Australia could have been in a lot. Australia could have been in a lot of trouble.
They could.
That could have happened. I mean, there's a lot of. It would have changed the dynamic of the war. I'm not going to deny that, but.
Yeah.
Well,
that's very true.
Do you think we had to use the nuclear option to end the war with Japan, or do you think we could have taken them out conventionally?
I think they saved a lot of lives using a nuke. I really do.
Not one, two.
I think.
Well, yeah, but they'd already been sued for peace 3 times before it got dropped. So
I think they saved millions of lives using nukes. I know that sounds fucking counterintuitive as fuck, but here's the deal: when we were marching, when the Marines were marching on the southern islands of Japan, right? The women were taking their children, throwing them off cliffs, and then jumping off cliffs with them because they were told Marines would eat all of them, right? And can you imagine a full-scale war against that culture, right? What would have been what would have been just the suicide cost, right? What would it, not the battlefield, not all that shit, just the suicide cost, right? And then there
would still be suicides after a nuke, though, wouldn't there? Surely, because they're still going to be, you know, looking. I mean, now they've got absolutely no chance of defending themselves. Then why didn't the suicide rate go that way that you're claiming? You know, once they were totally indefensible, but it didn't, did it? Because that was fucking nonsense. That was just propaganda.
Maybe it would have been dishonor on their family.
But there's a huge difference between a peaceable surrender and marching troops from village to village to village to village.
They've already sued for peace.
It's like fucking for virginity.
Well, no, I wouldn't necessarily call that. That was we're giving up because I don't want you to nuke another city.
And then what? I mean, what was the total deaths from the nuke? Something like in the neighborhood of like 200,000, right?
300.
About 100, about between 150 and 160,000 people.
Yeah, that was on impact, but that's not including the people who died afterwards. From
that includes the people who died afterwards.
No.
So okay,
yeah.
So 200,000. Now, take out the nukes. We didn't nuke them, and we went on this huge ground campaign against Japan. You're talking about millions of deaths. Just on a ground campaign on both sides.
They estimated that U.S. casualties, if we had to invade at the time, if we had to invade the home islands of Japan, that you are looking at 100,000 dead U.S. troops. That's dead.
225,000 in toto. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and that is conservative.
No,
That is a
No.
conservative.
See,
There you go.
there are numbers that go all over the place because the numbers that I've seen are basically 70,000 in Nagasaki and 80,000, between 80,000 and 70,000
Yeah.
in
Now what-
Hiroshima.
They were the people
No
who were.
fucking way in
They were the
Hiroshima.
ones that were evaporated with the blast. That's not the
90,000 to
consequential.
146,000 in Hiroshima.
now,
That is more believable.
now let me take.
Yeah,
let me
but
give
nowadays,
I mean,
look at
to put what I'm talking about into scale, the Iraq War claimed, these are numbers, the Iraq War claimed between 112,000 and 123,000, okay, civilians, right?
Well, they say a
And
million
and
if
that's
you
a-
include
that's-
all of the.
That is a far smaller scale of a war than an invasion of Japan, right?
Yeah, but no.
You would have been looking at millions of people dead, right? So you're gonna have to shit in someone's cereal, right, or
Okay, well,
someone's
look.
breakfast.
Yeah, but Melissa, first off, they'd already sued for peace 3 times. And you don't have to invade. You could just
You
blockade
can say
the
that all
place.
you
And
want,
they
but it
have.
doesn't
Yeah,
hold
no.
water.
MC, hang on a second. I was going to make a second point. It does hold water because it was a fact. Now, the second thing is that you could have blockaded a thing, and they didn't have any resources. Like the only reason that they went into, China and into the where was it, Korean Peninsula and places like that.
They went
Because
to
they
the
needed
Philippines and
They
China.
had fuck all to themselves. They had absolutely nothing. So you blockade them, and then what are they going to do? They can't retaliate. You've already taken out the navy. They can't build anything because you can just go in and attack and take that out, right? So the nuke was not a necessary reaction.
And how are we going to deal with the Chinese troops in China?
MC, wait, I want to get something in. I'm with Cabbage, because seriously, the
Yeah, I'm not for
Northerners,
nuking people, honestly.
the Northerners did the same thing to the South with the Anaconda fucking plan. They
I'm not
blockaded
even.
the whole
I'm not.
South,
I'm not into nuking
and they shut
anyone,
them
but
down from the outside world. Now, if they would have done that to China or Japan, the same thing would have happened. Japan would have starved itself out and surrendered.
Yeah, how many troops
Look,
did they have?
look, the thing you have to understand about Japan is, though, Japan lived as an isolated country for thousands of fucking years. That wouldn't have worked. I'm sorry,
Well, it
it
would.
wouldn't have fucking worked.
Well,
No,
if they didn't have any fuel.
Not only wouldn't it have worked, all right, you're ignoring the fact that they had literally hundreds of thousands of troops in mainland China.
like literally thousands of troops in fucking China.
No, literally hundreds
China.
of thousands, not
Were
thousands.
those
Yeah.
troops? Were those troops
China.
pensions? I just want to know.
Yeah, well, in that case, why didn't they nuke them as well? And they didn't need to, because the whole point, right? If you'd have blockaded,
Because we had the
Japan,
American Tigers over there. We had the Flying Tigers over there.
The Flying Tigers.
there you go, exactly, and so they could take them out separately, and they were all
Well,
they
What?
were already fighting, and they were already doing right. The nukes didn't help those people.
Look,
I'm
I
not
don't
into
agree
the
with
nukes.
nuking people either, and I don't know what would happen if. Look, 75% of Japan's population was born after the nukes were dropped. I don't agree with it either. However, isolating them, they're used to that. They were isolated until like the 1800s, and they didn't give a flying rat's ass.
Why do you think?
Well, yeah, they didn't back then, but
so
that's
much?
when. Yeah, but that's when they weren't dependent on so many different things that they didn't know about. Because then where are they going to get the gas?
I'm
Because
sorry,
They
Cabbage,
would have
but
ended
first
up
of all-
like Cuba.
Hold on,
They would
Cabbage.
have been
First of
like
all, you
Cuba.
made a comment about peace, which is just nonsense. Okay.
They
The
did
fact that
sue
you
for
said that,
peace
well, they were
3
trying to
times.
sue for peace only on their terms. Okay, their
No.
peace left them with their empire. All right,
No,
and then
the-
what's worse about that?
Here come the angry grandpas.
Was even after 2 nukes were used. Even after two nukes were used, right? The Imperial Palace, all right, which was swarming with their military, tried to prevent the emperor from telling people we surrender. So the idea that somehow that they were just going to roll over and that they were suing for peace and they were ready for peace is just nonsense.
No, there was a portion of the military that was willing to effectively.
The majority, the portion you're talking about is the majority.
MC, I have a serious question. So, when they sued for peace, Did they just want to keep Japan and the emperor?
No.
If so, then let them have it.
No, they wanted to keep all the territories that they currently possessed.
Which would be
even the
like
US
half of China.
Even
And
the
they
US
raped China.
territories,
Japan did some terrible fucking shit to
Oh, they
China
are hideous,
and
yeah.
the Philippines.
Honestly, I feel like I'm watching fucking Fox News right now.
What, the lesbian is sitting here telling you there are no lesbians on Fox News that I'm aware of except for Ann Coulter.
No,
Who
but-
thinks she's your stable man. Technically, she's not a lesbian. She's a horse.
Yeah, but she's self-hating.
No,
She's
but
a-
Benny,
she's a horse.
who would be Tucker Carlson here? I just want to know.
What was that, Mad Dodge?
Ask Benny, who would be Tucker Carlson here if this was Fox News?
No one.
No one.
Oh, we're not that cool?
No.
Fuck off, Benny.
No.
He listens to me. Okay?
Oh, yeah. You're his boss. Fuck you, Wolfshot.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, I'm not for fucking nuking anybody either, but I'm pointing out the.
It sounds like you are. It sounds like you're good with it. It sounds like
Here's another thing. Would you have been nuking? Would you have been for nuking people when you didn't know what a nuke did?
No, see, I don't want to drop an atom bomb on anybody.
That's only because you know what an atom bomb does.
Yeah, but
they
are you
didn't
telling
know.
me the president didn't know? No, they did. They did trials. I mean, that's what Oppenheimer was doing in the middle of the fucking desert. They tried it out. They tested
one
it.
nuke, all right, in a desert.
We
Yeah,
didn't
exactly.
We
It
didn't
gives you
test
a
it on
pretty
fucking-
good fucking idea about what
we
it's going to
didn't
do.
test that shit
No.
on people.
No, you know what though? I love it how it's like always me and Cabbage against the world. So here's you, Cabbage.
Hey, I'm on your side,
man,
asshole.
you
But I'm
too.
pointing out
Look.
that they couldn't have done what you're suggesting to do.
Look, I'm not into nuking anyone, but I'm just saying
Damn.
Japan might need a third one.
I'm just saying Japan
Hey,
made
they
this-
were-
Just to fix their shit, all right?
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm not for nuking anyone either, but I am going to.
I just like to fuck shit up, but I wouldn't nuke anybody.
I wouldn't. Especially now that we know what the fuck happens when you nuke somebody. Jesus.
Okay, right. Then they did it once, and they saw what it did, and then they did it again, right? So you can say that they didn't like what happened in the desert, right? They couldn't work out what the effect would be.
Effective. It was
I'm
so
not for
effective.
it. I'm not for it. Period.
You guys, just
You
a second.
assholes.
What if they did first?
No, wait, stop.
You want to fuck Enola Gay? We know
Goddamn
what you want.
Cabbage. This is where I actually deviate from you. I do not want them to drop the atom bomb at all. But they dropped it once, and Japan gave them the finger. All right? So at that point,
Yeah, at that
drop
point,
it
they
again.
kind of abandoned their own people, and we're like, nah.
Yeah,
fuck
no,
it.
and even me, at that point, drop another one. Fuck them.
Yeah, but they were ready to sue. They were suing for peace. They were ready to surrender.
No. You see, here's the irony, right?
Here we go.
Wolfshot was saying earlier on about how great it was about that guy who was standing in the middle of the concert saying "fuck you." He couldn't go left, couldn't go right. He was just saying "fuck you" and standing in the middle. And she said, "Yeah, that would be me." Well, how would you be if you were Japan then? Right? Somebody just fucking nuked you. It's like, yeah, fuck you. Come on then.
Well, that's two different things.
No, it's not. It's an equivalent.
We said we
It's
threw
a nuclear equivalent.
We threw a nuke, and then we said, "Are you ready to surrender?" And they said, "Screw you." That's not the same thing as a guy who's sitting up there going, "If you're still going to fire on innocent people, come get me." That's not the same thing. It's not even an equivalent.
Yeah, the emperor fled like a bitch and said, kill and abandoned his fucking people like a bitch.
No, it was the emperor, exactly as MC said earlier on. It was the emperor who was willing to do it, and it was the military, certain factions of the military, who wanted him to stand his ground. There were other parts of the military who were willing to sue for peace, and they did that via Europe. That's where they were trying to do it, with the ambassadors in Europe. And
see, I thought the first bomb, the emperor didn't want to secede.
No, he did. No, it was already happening.
The emperor was unsure, because when he had his advisors, he asked them after the first atomic weapon, all right, should we surrender? And they waffled. And so he didn't. The emperor, the Japanese emperor, in a lot of ways, was in a really bad position because of what the emperor was.
because nukes.
Right, and you have to understand how the emperor's position. Prior to the war, you have something called the Manchurian Incident. Okay, and during the Manchurian Incident, what happens is that some of his military people decided on their own to basically create a false flag. All right, as an excuse for attacking and gaining all of Manchuria. Right, and seizing it from China. Okay, when the emperor found out about this, one of the things he did is he ordered a trial for all the officers involved. When when all this came to light and these officers were being placed on trial, the prime minister tried to put a stop to it. And when the emperor said, "We can't have this kind of thing," he felt so dishonored that he resigned. All right, this collapsed the Japanese government. There was turmoil in the government. The emperor at this point said, okay, if I question the government publicly like this, it causes chaos for my people, so I will never question the government's decisions again. All right. Now, there are, and this leads to a whole series of things that he agrees to, basically because they're doing it in his name, and he just goes along with it. Okay. Up until the point where he ordered the surrender, all right, the government was still undecided about what to do. And he finally, after the second atomic weapon, said, no, we're going to surrender. He had his small core of people record his surrender message. And then there was an attempted coup to go around and try and seize all these surrender tapes and seize the body of the emperor, just like the old shogun days where the emperor was basically a pawn.
Yeah, but I think, well,
no,
there's that aspect to it. But there's also, I think people forgetting that in the Truman Papers, Truman wrote that part of the reason for dropping the bomb, part of the justification for dropping the bomb, was not specifically just even about Japan. It was because of the concerns they had for post-World War and the Russian issue. And so they wanted to demonstrate to Russia that, we have this weapon, don't fuck with us. And that started the whole,
while that may have been something
war.
that was mentioned in the papers, it's easy to overconflate and say, well, that was a big primary reason.
Well, no, it was one of the deciding factors.
No,
it was one of the things that they mentioned when you're looking at things on a broad scale and you're putting up, okay, what are the pros and what are the cons?
Well, it's one of the things he personally mentions in his own, papers. So
yeah,
it was relevant.
MC, I would hate to say it, but I would be one of those Japanese officials saying, no, we won't surrender. Fuck them all.
And when the next
because after that point, no, wait a minute. After you get to that point, what else is there left?
After you get to what point?
To the point where you're fucking decimated and you already doubled down on your war, right? You already said, I'm going to do this to the end. Then do it to the end. Like, I hate to say it, but like Hitler did. He did it to the end. They came down on his bunker.
What the fuck is this fucking bullshit?
No, they came down on his bunker and they killed him, or he killed himself, or he ran off.
He ended up in Argentina.
Yeah, he ended up with the Penguins, but
yeah, he's with the Penguins. Yes, he's in his underground Antarctic base.
You're going to be a major douchebag and bring the whole world into war. Then do it till the end. Don't surrender at the fucking last minute, especially when you have people dive bombing and killing themselves. They take out a single U.S. ship. Have we forgotten about the kamikazes? Is that something forgotten about? I mean, these people were killing
not as effective as people think they were. They weren't that effective. They were only effective during the times when it was wooden top ships. When it was metal ones, they bounced off.
Cabbage, you don't know what you're talking about.
You know what I care? I care that they were alive. They're killing themselves for an ideal. I believe.
Yeah,
whether that was
wrong. Yeah, but they're like the radical Muslims. The one.
What was that? What was that ideal?
Yeah, whether the ideal is wrong or right doesn't matter.
No, that's right. The ideal was they were serving the emperor.
And the emperor shouldn't have given up like a bitch.
And he did. So he should have said, "Hey, all you people, keep dying for me," while he shovels them out there to be corpses.
Dude, when you get to that point, what else is there?
They're
You
saving
already
your
drug
people.
it
If you're
that point.
serving for your people and you're trying to
Yeah.
do what's
Never
best for the
served-
people,
no.
these
No,
are decisions you make.
Yeah, I don't
See, this
understand what you
is-
think the Emperor's job is.
No,
The Emperor's job is
no,
not to
you
kill
guys
his
think-
people.
No, wait a minute. You guys think I'm arguing in favor of the emperor. I'm not. I'm saying, though, once you get to that depth of bullshit, sooner or later you have to double down and just accept it. He should have just
Why?
stood up and took it like a man.
He did take you from his standpoint.
He's not the one taking it though, asshole.
His people will. Hey, Wolfshot.
You better calm down, Missy.
Wolfshot. His
Hey.
people were right behind him.
Hey, he wasn't the
Okay?
one getting
And
nuked.
I almost cussed. I'm not trying to cuss at you. It's your birthday. But god
Hey, you
damn
can
it.
cuss at me all you want to, dude, but he wasn't the one getting fucking nuked. And it sure as shit wasn't his family getting nuked.
You know what? He might have had family in Nagasaki. How the fuck do you know?
He might have. He didn't. He didn't.
How do you know?
Because he didn't.
No, seriously. No. This would be like Trump doubling
Because he
down.
didn't.
And we just
Because he
told
fucking
like,
didn't.
No, fuck you. No, fuck you.
No, fuck
Okay.
you. No, seriously, fuck
you.
you. No,
We
fuck
go to
you.
war.
No, fuck you. No, fuck you. No,
No.
fuck. If I wanted your opinion, I would have fucked it out of your mouth.
Anyway, fuck off. Now, let's say
God.
we go to war with somebody. We double down and we fucking go to war. And they come invading. Are we just going to give up and fucking pack it in because they drop a fucking nuclear weapon? Are we just going to give up to North Korea? Is that what we're going to fucking do? Is
North
that your-
Korea is a bunch of pussies that won't do shit.
No, and we'll
That's the problem.
Okay, even though they all, you think they all look the same, they're not. They have very different.
It's a simple diplomatic thing.
Yeah, they all look. They all look different. You see,
Double down on a war, even though it's foolish.
All
you
right.
already gave in to it.
He allowed
Make it stop.
the government
make
to
it
make
stop.
those decisions. He allowed the government to make those decisions, and he let it go on and let it go on, and finally said, "I have to make the decision," and did. And now you're going to bitch at him for it. He said, "Well, no, I should just let everyone die for me."
They
It's
were
a weird position, I've got to say. It's a very odd.
You know what? He doubled
It's
down
original.
on it. How many times during the war?
He didn't double down on it. He allowed the government to make those decisions.
MC. If you want to say that the fucking U.S. didn't let that happen and Pearl Harbor was all on the fucking Japanese and he doubled down on that fucking war, we
Yeah,
weren't
okay.
in it. We weren't in it. We didn't want to be in it, goddammit.
I get where you're coming from, Mad, right? No, I get where Mad's coming from. It's rather like the idea of when,
He's coming
you know,
from
like
my
the Battle of
asshole.
Britain. When we were, you know, effectively isolated and we were down to like a week's worth of food or something in the entire country. You know, but we didn't. We stood our ground and we doubled down and we said, no, you know, we'll fight them on the beaches, we'll fight them in the streets, we'll fight them, you know, the Churchill speech. And so we did double down on but that was a very different situation. If Hitler had been dropping nukes on London, that would have been very, very
It wasn't
different.
just a different situation. They're a different culture. Just because you would have done that doesn't mean culturally they were going to do something like that.
No, but I'm saying that, you know, like you know, those V1 and V2 bombs had been dropped and they had nuclear warheads on the top, I think negotiations would have been very different.
Probably, yeah, you're right.
No, and Wolfshot, I'm not a little cunt. I'm actually 6 feet tall, and that would be.
And I could still beat your ass.
I would like to see you try, and really.
I would fucking win.
I am very moist right now.
Hey guys, I hope you're back. You're still around in 15 minutes. Because I gotta take off. I'll be back.
Where are you going?
I have to go to my daughter's house.
No, too fucking bad.
Yeah, you can right now.
I'm sorry, but she has a higher priority than you guys right now.
All right, later, MC. And
All right,
fuck you,
dude.
little shot. That was a little rude. I've never even called you a cunt before. I've never been that rude. Fuck you, cunt. There. Now I've joined the club.
You fucking muted me because you were being a little bitch.
I don't mute people very often, but if I mute you, there's a reason.
No, but
I've never muted you, you little bitch.
Oh, shut up, Betty. You're the king of muting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so good at it. I got someone off the internet because of it.
But I still don't agree with nuking people. Seriously, I don't. I'm not for that shit. I'm not.
Well, no, and I think if, like I said, as a leader, if you double down like they did in World War II, Japan, then you got to take what's coming to you and stand your ground. Or else, why did you double down on it to begin with? You might as well have just made an armistice at the beginning. You know what I mean? Why did you start the fight to begin with?
Yeah, but that's the point. Yeah, but you're not. Yeah, but the one who starts the fight doesn't do the armistice. That's the whole point. So people are expected. You know, you're meant to be supplicants. I mean, that was the whole problem with, you know, the appeasement that was going on with Chamberlain. You know, that Americans go on about. It's like appease, appease, appease. You know, we're appeasing him. When he went into Poland, we appeased him. When he went into Czechoslovakia, we appeased him. You know, it's like you can't keep appeasing these people. Because once they get away with it, they know that, you know, I mean, what is their word worth? You know, they say we're not going to do any more, and then they, you know, they move on into France and into Belgium and into, you know, and then they're sitting on right over the sea looking at you, and they can see you with binoculars. I mean, come on.
Well, Cabbage, you're right, but also the way World War I ended set this whole thing up.
I'm talking World War II.
I know, but
know.
World War I ended, and Germany was set up for failure. They had to pay you guys how much money?
Yeah, the Versailles Treaty was ridiculous. But then again, you could say the same thing with America after World War II and Britain, because we were given unreasonable demands, which was that we would have to break up our empire, that the pound sterling would not be the international currency, you know, and that the dollar would then replace it. That, I mean, these were all the demands that were made upon Britain in order for them to engage in the war. But they were happy to take the gold that we were shipping over to Canada in order to pay for the lease lend bullshit, right? Plus, we also, you know, paid back. I mean, we didn't pay back our fucking war debt until, what was it, 2000 and something, when Gordon Brown signed the final check for the blood money.
You know what? I agree with you. I think that's messed up. You were an ally. Why would we hold you to that standard?
Yes,
you were on our side.
Well, yeah, we were on your side. You weren't on ours. That was a fucking problem, right? Well, not until it became valuable enough.
Oh my God, Cabbage, get the fuck over it.
What do you mean, get over it? I was just pointing out some facts.
We fucking helped you during the war, and you're still pissed about it.
No. We'd already stopped Operation Sea Lion. It was already over. The Germans weren't even coming over. You came in to fucking raise your flag. You came in to raise your flag and claim victory so you can feel good about yourself. Parasite.
It hurts so bad. Stop.
Yeah. Fucking parasites.
Yes. America is the parasite, even though we saved your ass during the war, and you're still.
Didn't save our ass. Didn't. We'd already won the Battle of Britain, you dumb shit. Germany lost in Russia.
I'm fucking dying.
Sometimes I think you guys
don't know your history. You're retarded.
Stop.
Oh yeah,
you're retarded. Yeah, I don't know your history.
It hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, well, ignorance is bliss.
Are you just mad that a superpower that's better than yours just helps you during a war which you couldn't.
No. What I'm saying is that no. My problem is how America treats its so-called friends.
Cabbage.
How it treats its so-called allies and friends.
Look, we're like the mother bear to the rest of the fucking nation. We're like the mama bear. We're gonna try and help as best as we fucking can.
Yeah.
You were like
you didn't help when you didn't. You just chose when you were going to decide to choose to get engaged because. No, just so that you could exploit. It was an exploitation exercise. No, but the point that I was saying is very relevant to what was being said before, but you just didn't get the connection. That's all. Don't worry, it's not you. I just blame the education system. It's not you.
I think what took the United States so long to get involved in the war is, well, the European War was looked at by Americans, like contemporary Americans, as another European Civil War. Yeah. I mean, World War II came off of 150 years of war in Europe.
Listen, Britain's sick and tired of fucking Europe.
Almost non-stop war for 150 years in Europe, right?
It never
prior
ends.
to World War II. And Americans had a bad taste in their mouth from World War I, and they just looked at World War II, or the beginning of World War II, as another European civil fucking war that they didn't want to get involved in.
And I understand that. We didn't want to get involved in another fucking European conflict. We've been fighting these fuckers since the Roman times. Do you think that we're not tired of these fuckers? That's why we got Brexit. They're always a problem. They always have been, and I don't know why, but for some reason they just, they can't get along.
All right.
They claim the EU says that they do, but they don't.
So are we just going to argue about World War II, or do you guys have any more topics you would like to discuss?
Well, the other thing I was going to talk about, but this kind of went off the rails, is, they found weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Thousands of them. Yes, thousands.
Why didn't they show them? Why weren't they paraded in front of the cameras if they found them?
And they would have. They would have put that in front of fucking Fox News, CNN.
That would have been headline news every fucking minute.
All of it. But they didn't. Why? Because they didn't find them. And if they did, they found what we sold them in the 80s.
That was one of them, the sarin.
Plus, don't you know the fucking mass hysteria it would have on everyone? If they even knew we had these types of weapons of mass fucking destruction.
Well, if you have them, we already know that you have them. We have them. We've got nukes too. So there was the French, for God's sake. Even the French.
Well, that's the thing. We hide shit from the public, so we don't have a big fucking.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're claiming that your enemy had weapons of mass destruction, and then people are questioning it, and then you got video of you finding them, surely you'd put the video up of you finding these things in order to prove the fact that you had justification for doing what you did. And where was the video evidence? Where was the evidence?
Well, to be fair, it looks like Melissa's looking up a link real quick, I think. Right, Melissa?
I posted it in the side chat, or in the chat where on YouTube, where everybody can see.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it, and I did not
find one bunker, but that was, like you said, it was marked with Western, sources. They were things that had been, sold to back in the 1980s, and I think there was sarin, weren't they?
But yeah,
there was chemical.
Sources have confirmed
it wasn't nuclear.
There was about around 5,000 weapons of mass destruction found in Iraq. Multiple sources.
But they.
It's just the great leftist lie that there wasn't fucking weapons of mass destruction there. And you know what?
Isn't it
ISIS is only a thing because the left fucked the war up. We had a democratic state.
No, wait a minute.
No, bullshit. This is
ISIS is a thing because America has funded them. We created the issue. It's called blowback. You send drones over someone's country and you kill their children. then people are going to pick up weapons
No,
again.
it was the withdrawal of forces from Iraq before the government was stable, which caused ISIS to be created.
Oh, the first Gulf invasion was a big mistake when they were going in from Kuwait. If they were going to do a regime change, then that was the time to do it, because the people of Iraq were actually quite willing to react. But once they'd been fucked up, you remember that entire there was like villages all in the south. The entire like swamplands or whatever ended up getting annihilated by Saddam Hussein between Desert Storm 1 and Desert Storm 2 because of their willingness to rebel. So they were very dubious as to the commitment when the second time happened. And anyway, you got Sunni Shia. Look, none of these places are going to sort their shit out. I mean, they're all fucking religious fanatics. So, what are you going to do with them?
Isn't that kind of calling the kettle black?
Well, no. And is it really weapons of mass destruction if we sold them to them?
Yeah, why do you think Bush stood on a stage and said they have weapons of mass destruction? Why? Because when we were selling them these things for the Iraq-Iran war, we were making a little fucking checklist.
And but they used them on the Kurds, right? Which we know. We know that. Yeah. But nobody wanted to invade them at that time, did they? So America was quite happy to sit on their on their back foot and say, okay, that's an internal issue. That's nothing to do with us. But we sold them the shit that caused it.
Take it up with fucking Clinton, right? He was president during the first Iraq war. Take it up with him.
No, the Kurdish stuff was back in the 1985, something like that. No, it was way before Clinton.
Yeah, we've been doing this since like 1979.
No, my problem really is we give them the weapons, all right? And then in 15 years, we say you can't have these weapons. What sense does that even make, Melissa?
Well, plus, you gotta take anything seriously from a president who one of his announcements was, "I did not have sexual affairs with that woman."
I'm so over that. It was a fucking blowjob.
No, but no, that was really a question to Melissa. Like, those weapons of mass destruction that you're citing, we gave them legally. We gave it to them to fight against Iran, and we gave it to Afghanistan to fight against Russia. So how can we supply the weapons and then persecute them for having them? It makes no sense to me.
I wouldn't have given it to them in the first fucking place, but
exactly. That would make more sense.
The infinite wisdom of fucking Reagan. Like, you think liberals hate Reagan? I can't fucking stand Reagan.
He was a
constant walking fuck up. I mean, the number one fuck up of Reagan, in my opinion, was he was really the guy to start the whole fucking amnesty train. Shoot him. I wish he could bring him back to life and shoot him in the head for that. Right?
Reagan smash.
Oh, you know what, though? I actually like Reagan. I like him because he said the third stool of the Republican Party is the libertarian.
That's the only reason why you fucking like Reagan.
Shut
the hell up.
Yeah.
Shut up. Shut the hell up.
It wasn't Reagan that sold those things to him. It was, I think, Jimmy Carter. And as far as I remember, he was a Democrat.
It was Reagan.
No, it was...
No.
Have you heard of Iran-Contra?
I'm talking about the gassing of the Kurds. The weapons that were sold that we used for the gassing of the Kurds. No, it wasn't.
No, wait a minute. What about Iran-Contra? Should they have just let those people that were seized die? Because that's why he made the deal, was to free the prisoners.
No, that was just a fucked up incursion. That's the reason it didn't work, because they didn't plan it properly.
Now, do we negotiate with people that have American citizens, or do we just let our citizens die? That's the question, really. I don't care.
Come on, Iran-Contra was rather like the, God, what was the one,
Iran-Contra was...
Hillary.
Was fucking Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, Iran-Contra was, but like I said, the gassing of the Kurds was before that, and the people
gassing of the Kurds was
and
also Reagan.
The person who signed but the weapons that they had on hand had already been sold to them by Jimmy Carter. That's a fact, Jack.
No, but I thought the Iran-Contra affair was about they captured a bunch of U.S. citizens. He gave them guns like they wanted to free the citizens, right? Or am I wrong?
Well,
nobody has to answer, or you guys have to Google it.
No, I'm just trying to think about how to
I'm a
express it.
fucking asshole because I gotta Google something.
I just
Eat
don't
a
give
dick.
a shit. All right. I just don't care.
No. The Iran-Contra scandal had a lot of moving parts to it. One of the primary objectives of it was to fund a right-wing revolutionary group.
Right-wing death squad.
It was a psyop, I guess. Whatever you want to call it, like that.
You're talking about 1988.
Well, yeah. What do they call it? This. I'm trying to remember the name of the group. It's
Halabja chemical attack.
Yeah, and they already
in
had
1988. Guess who was president in 1988?
Yes, but guess what? They already had the
Ronald Reagan.
Yes, but who? Yeah, but they already had the fucking weapons to use at that point before Ronald Reagan arrived.
Ronald Reagan.
All right, don't fucking patronize me. You look it up.
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan permitted it though, and he didn't, and again, he didn't argue about it. But the weapons have been provided prior to his, his presidency. They'd already been provided. That's how they had the fucking things to use in the first place.
Remember, everyone gassed the Kirks.
No,
you
know what the fuck?
Melissa, you were talking about Iran-Contra. It was the Contras were the rebels. The Sandinistas,
yeah, I thought it was the Setalinas or something like
that.
The
Sandinistas were the Sandinistas were the Ortega's group. They were the group that had just taken power. So anyway, you were talking about the Iranian and the Iraqi.
So when Saddam gassed the Kurds in '88, who gave Saddam the weapons to gas the Kurds?
The sarin.
Sarin?
Mm-hmm.
The sarin gas that he used. The sarin gas that he used. He was not given by the United States because we don't use sarin. We never have.
Mustard, whatever, but whatever was used.
No,
it was chlorine, wasn't it?
It's harder.
I was chlorine bomb.
What were you saying, Bullshot?
I was saying that it was Reagan talking with Rumsfeld.
Oh yeah, Team B. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, they.
Rumsfeld, no. Caspar Weinberger was his Secretary of Defense.
No, well, yeah, but Rumsfeld was in Team B.
He was the wasn't he the CIA executive at the time?
He could have been.
He was.
Possibility.
He was running a specific team. It's called Team B. They were the ones. Yeah, it's like the idea that.
Care. It's not fucking It wasn't fucking what I was reading is that we didn't directly get involved in Iraq, giving them weapons at that time.
No, we didn't. We were giving them intel
before 1980. Okay.
You were selling them weapons.
I lit on fire for that.
We've never sold chemical weapons to any country.
Oh, please.
Are you sure?
Sold them. Maybe you gave them.
Yes, I am positive that we've never sold chemical
weapons.
We gave them.
Handed them to some other dude to give them.
Who then sold them? Exactly. I mean, fucking hell. Talk about you greasy fucking weasel bullshit.
We've never sold chemical weapons or allowed chemical weapons out of U.S. hands.
Please don't say never. As soon as you say never, I just can't.
It's so
okay.
ridiculous.
Well, somebody show me where we handed them chemical weapons, and I'll agree with you. The mustard gas. First of all, the mustard gas used on the Kurds, right, were developed by the Iraqis, and in fact, they were built in plants that were built by the French.
Well, but in America, so they were built. They were
France
developed by the Iraqis. They're built in French companies in America.
France's fault.
No, they were not built in the United States. We have not let any of our chemical weapons stockpiles out.
I really want to believe it, but then I can't.
It's such fucking nonsense.
I
you
really
may not
can't.
have sold it, but you definitely you facilitated the availability of it.
The rebel in me says, nah, no way have we not sold some of our shit to some other countries.
We sell a lot of things around.
We released the fact that we sold.
But there's certain things that we will not sell. Just like we've never sold a nuclear weapon to any of our allies, even our.
Are you sure about that?
That's not true. You sold them to us.
No, we did not. You built your own.
All of Israel's nukes have "Made in the USA" written on the side. All of them.
All of Israel's nukes came from Pollard, and they built their own.
No, the centrifuges came from the Dutch. The centrifuges came from the Dutch. The heavy water came from Britain, and the fissile material came from the US. That was exposed back in, again, the 1980s.
The fissionable material wouldn't have needed to be centrifuged.
Well, no, I don't understand how you can be such a skeptic, MC. Come on.
The raw materials that would be prior to centrifuging, because it's underneath the airport. You remember? I mean, it got discovered. They exposed it.
Then why, if you're doing that, what was the purpose? All right, of charging Pollard?
Charging who?
John Pollard.
The scapegoat?
So he's a scapegoat now.
There's got to be a scapegoat.
I don't know. Well, what did he get charged for?
Every asshole's got to be a fall boy. Someone's got to take the fall for something. It's like that kid that got fucked with for Iran Contra. He got fucked good too.
What kid? Jessica Hahn?
No, that guy, the fucking military dude. He got fucked.
Oliver North?
Oliver North. No, he ended up making a fortune working for the company that does the.
Yeah, but I thought he got charges brought against him though. Still.
He did.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Not only did
he got convicted of war crimes.
Not only, no, it wasn't war crimes, but he did get convicted. He did get convicted, and the conviction was overturned because they used testimony that was he had been given immunity from.
Yeah, and he also ended up making millions out of combat armor.
Oh yeah, he's a millionaire.
Second rate, yeah, second rate combat armor. He ended up.
Isn't that like treason or some shit, or is that just me?
You know, you think it would be, but
I don't know. I have no idea.
Flexible.
What was treasonous?
The whole hiding the Iran Contra deal, wasn't that treasonous?
No. All right.
But why not?
What he was charged with, right, was misappropriation of government funds because he built the security fence around his house.
And yet we're mad at Hillary Clinton about some fucking emails.
But once again, he was charged.
I have to pipe in. Some emails, fuck off. How many emails?
Some fucking emails.
Some emails.
Fuck her emails.
Goddamn information in them. Fuck that, and fuck her, and fuck you if you're gonna defend her.
Pizzagate. Some fucking emails. Oh my god, my pussy hurts.
Like any information.
My sandy ass vagina because of some fucking emails.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
No, wait a minute. Fuck
this is where evidence comes from.
God damn it. If you were a fucking peon and you leaked those emails out in general goddamn emails, you would be in prison for fucking 15 years. And that
she's a woman.
Still walking around. Fuck her.
Vagina privilege.
George W. Bush had how many? 4
No,
private
fuck
servers he had
her,
email
fuck
from.
her.
No one gave a shit about that either.
No, that's bullshit. Fuck her and fuck her leaking. She has a private server which she knows she
Fuck
shouldn't.
Snowden! He didn't do
What?
anything! Fuck him!
Her.
Snowden
I'm
should
here
be
to trigger Mad
Snowden
Dog,
should be in
apparently.
jail too.
Yeah.
Snowden, I got respect
Snowden,
for.
that's a different story.
Oh, what's the
Snowden,
different story? They both did the same dumb shit. It's stupid fucking shit.
The difference is Snowden actually decided to fucking leave before he got his ass shot.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Hillary decides to stay this
No, the difference is that cunt is gonna get away with it. That fucking bitch.
What?
She can do
What-
what
what-
she
what-
wants.
what?
Why?
You're that
Because she's a
surprised?
goddamn
You're that-
Clinton. They do what they fucking want. Fuck her.
Illuminati confirmed.
No, the thing is, Snowden I've got more respect for, but Julian Assange, he is a tricksy little fucker because he is playing everything.
I have no respect for any of them, honestly.
He has so much, he's playing he's playing a political game. There is no doubt about that.
You can fit all
he's
of my
releasing
fucks.
things whenever he wants. He's playing a game. It's like he's dealing cards. He releases things when he thinks it's appropriate, right? That's the problem I have with Assange. He is purely playing politics.
They can
But
all
at
take
least
a sugar
Snowden,
frosted fuck.
he
off
wanted
the
to
tip of
let
my
the
dick.
American people know that, the government was lying to them. And I think Snowden did a much better thing than what
Snowden did not
Assange
do
is
it so
doing.
he could so he could sit up there and out the American people, out things for the American government. He did it for himself and his self-serving little.
Really? Well, what's he got
ways.
out of it? What's he got out of it?
What's he got out of it? He was getting money out of it, and then he had to flee the country because he would have been charged.
Really?
How did he get money out of it? I don't believe he got any money out of it. That's bullshit. Show me some evidence.
He paid for his plane ticket? Oh, no, that was Julian Assange who paid for his plane ticket. Oh, he paid for the hotel bills? Oh, no, that was Julian Assange who was paying those bills.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying.
How he ended up because he couldn't get any more money.
And that's what I'm saying is Julian Assange is a creepy fucker.
With his leftist little policies about outing America as bad so he could run to his freaking communist friends.
Exactly. And I think Julian Assange is the scariest person. Snowden, I think, is basically a dupe. I think he got duped, and Assange is the one who's managing to capitalize on all this
if you
shit.
think I got triggered over Clinton, fuck you, MC. He fucking outed what? The NSA spying on every citizen in the U.S.?
He stood up there and turned over to the Soviet and the Russians all of our freaking intel on the Pacific and our Pacific targets.
All of our intel on the fucking people of the U.S.? The NSA
But her emails.
Hang on, wasn't it Rumsfeld who took nuclear technologies over to China?
I have some information that will lead to Hillary's arrest.
No, Korea, wasn't it? North Korea?
Benny, don't say that. You'll die. She'll kill you.
I mean, look what happened to Chester Bennington. Am I right?
Watch out, Benny. Benny, if you die from food poisoning, I'm going to tell everybody it was because of Clinton. I'm just saying.
Who fucking cares?
Be careful, Benny. No, but fuck that, dude. No. He leaked information on the NSA spying, a dragnet spying program on the U.S.
That wasn't the only thing he did, Mad Dodge. And you knew it.
Triggered.
Okay, fair enough. That is not the only thing he did. But that, to me, is the most important thing he did.
Well, of course, because it's not your life on the line, is it?
That is fair, but it is my fucking security on the line. They are dragnetting.
Yeah, but he outed shit we already knew.
No, well,
we already knew it.
No, the NSA did not. We did not know that they were dragnetting us. That is a lie.
No. You the some of the dragnet stuff they did know about.
Come on.
Some of the stuff they didn't. Some of the stuff they did. There was plenty of evidence already about.
Oh, come on!
About the,
you remember the congressional
if you
hearing?
don't know that the government is watching you or looking up your shit, come on.
Yeah, I mean it is fairly naive, but the thing is though that it got verified. That's the difference.
Naive.
Yeah,
right? Now, thinking it,
it's not their
knowing
job
it,
to look
two
up my
totally
IP
different things.
address. God damn it! It's not their fucking job. You want to call me naive because I think the government should do their goddamn
No
job?
one's saying that you're naive for that. What you're doing, though, is you're sitting up there saying that right there is far more important to you than the targets of our enemies that we were watching and how we were watching them, and the effectiveness of our frickin' encryption devices on their encrypted communications. And he handed that over to the Russians.
All right, that part I can't argue with you about, but the goddamn dragnet is what gets me triggered every time. It's bullshit, and they need a warrant.
That's not the only thing that gets you triggered.
No, wait a minute. You want my IP address?
Roads get him triggered too.
My
That's true.
browsing fucking history.
My roads.
Warrant. Get a warrant, you fucking prick.
You're just an angry man, aren't you?
Well, no, he's right about a lot of that stuff. All right, and I'm not gonna and I won't defend that. And he's 100% right about it. The problem though is that wasn't the only thing. My problem with Snowden is that that's not the only thing he did.
Well, I think Snowden was a bit of a patsy. I think that he was a front for Assange, and that's why I don't trust Assange, especially the way that he releases information in such a selective fashion, where it's useful for definitely socialist.
Well, he's definitely definitely playing the great game. He's definitely thinking of himself as a player in the political realms.
Yeah, no, I'll calm down. Do you guys think somebody co-opted him to flip? Do you think that happened?
I'm sorry, Mad Dog. The only person that needs to
No, he's Swedish. He was always a fucking comic. Well, actually, he was Australian originally.
Yeah, isn't he? I thought he was Australian. I thought
he wasn't Australian, but he moved to Sweden very young.
I don't give a shit.
Well, you don't care.
No.
He looks translucent.
They're fucking.
Okay, so what do you want to talk about then?
I mean,
we could talk about white people. I mean, look at this bunch of white people here.
They're releasing information that, I mean, the NSA thing, I mean, I'm not surprised at all. I don't know what I can do. What can I do about it?
So if the NSA puts a camera in my toilet, should I be worried?
Why would they? I mean,
the NSA wouldn't put a camera in your toilet, but the CIA would.
Those sick bastards.
Like, what can I do? Like, what? I mean, am I go off grid and like, I fucking.
You go to the sanctuary cities, wherever they're called.
I'm in a sanctuary city, actually.
And the first thing you could do, and the only thing you could do at this point, is to sit up there and try and put people in Congress to end the Patriot Act.
Yeah, that would be a very smart move. And also close down Pfizer courts and things like that. I mean, you're going to... These, super judicial bullshit it's got to be... It's got to be contested at some point.
What's the old libertarian mantra? And once you give a government an authority, you'll never get it back, or something like that, right?
Well, you have to take away. That's what you're going to have to do. In order to do this, you're going to have to take away that authority. That was granted to them by the Patriot Act.
Well, no, it's the once you give the government an inch, you'll never get that inch back.
Yeah,
right.
I thought the libertarian mantra was smoke a bong and bitch about shit and not do a fucking thing about it.
First off, if you want to do stuff about it. Second, I just got some weed handed to me.
Let Mad Dog explain the Libertarian Party since he fucking deep throats that shit.
Hey Betty, go fuck yourself.
You're deep throwing that shit so much I can feel the fucking gag reflex you have. It's shit.
Yeah, fucking. Yeah, that's what I thought the libertarian mantra was: smoke pot and then bitch about shit. It's like that episode of South Park with the hippies.
That's my mantra.
You know why?
The fucking hippies.
I'm about to smoke some pot, you asshole.
Excuse me, man. I think you might have some hippies in your house.
This is what you've driven him to after fucking him in the mouth, bullshot.
Well, I mean, he wanted to give his opinion, so I decided to fuck it out of his mouth because he wouldn't shut up.
No, this shit. Yeah, you guys triggered me a couple times. I apologize for yelling.
Well,
Alyssa, especially.
Well, I don't give a fuck. You can yell at me all you want to. You're still fucking wrong.
Wolfie, listen to me. You screamed
wrong?
enough
Wait a
last night.
Wolf,
He's trying to
should I
be
keep yelling
to be
again?
conciliatory, and you're not going to let him be conciliatory. Please
No.
Yeah,
Exactly.
she likes to
Like,
fuck shit up, but not nukes.
Would that?
It just
Not with nukes, no.
No,
Not with nukes.
avoid the nukes.
I'm not
Nukes are
with.
bad.
I don't like to fuck for virginity either. I'm not. I don't know.
You fucking
Okay,
people.
seriously though, like, yeah, you triggered me a couple times, and I apologize for headphone wearers for my yelling. But god damn it, really? So Julian Assange is a piece of shit, MC. Really? After he has exposed how much corruption in government?
Yeah,
How
but
much?
Yeah, he's still a
it's the
bitch.
way he
How
got.
much
He's
corruption
still a bitch.
He's still a
could possibly
bitch.
have to expose?
Snowden's a
No,
bitch.
it's how he releases it.
It's how and what he's released.
Yeah,
a lot of the things that
exactly.
he released with old Bradley boy, all right,
Mm.
got a lot of our allies in Afghanistan killed, and has made our job there hundreds of times worse, simply because they can't trust our intel people.
Well, I'm not for Bradley / Chelsea Manning.
Well,
whatever
I'm
the
sorry,
fuck.
but that was one of
Another
the
trend.
primary targets
I'm
used
taking-
by Mr. Assange.
No, but I'm saying he was a coward and ran away from the front line, correct? He fucking left the unit. That's why he got charged, right?
No, that's Bergdahl.
Oh.
That's Bo Bergdahl.
Oh, okay. My bad. Sorry. He got charged for leaking then, correct?
Yes, he got charged for espionage.
And then
And
they
then that-
paid no,
and then they let him out.
No, wait, and then they paid for his transformation into a woman, right?
Yes, they did that as
Why
well.
would they do that? Why would they do that when you're in a military prison?
Who was
Well-
commander in chief?
Well, what sense does that make? Melissa, you're transitioning. What sense does that make for the military to pay a traitor to transition? Is that a good thing?
One word: liability.
Expand from the one word, please.
Okay, so it's actually I can't recall the Supreme Court justice, but basically, if you're in prison, you are a kind of the state is responsible
Ward of the
for
state.
yeah, you're a ward of the state, and the state is completely responsible for your well-being, right? So, and what that means, like, let's say my boyfriend and I were to get married, and for whatever reason, he ended up in prison, right? And he ended up getting really, really sick and ended up blind, right? I could sue the state for his blindness.
You can sue him for a lot of things. Now, I hate to tell you this, but if you two were to get married, he's gotta get married again. But that's gotta be for a prison bitch.
But I'm just saying that's why the federal government did paid for the transition, right? Because of that Supreme Court ruling. She was officially a ward of the state. And if they had failed,
you're saying it's an
failed,
entitlement.
if they had failed to provide her with transitional medicine, she would have a case to sue the absolute shit out of the federal government.
This
sounds
Well, but it's not. Yeah, but it's not a serious.
Well, first of all,
it's not like
it
it's
would have
life-threatening, is it?
First of all, they would have to petition to sue.
Oh, it is child's play to find a psychologist or whatever.
No. Hold on. But that has nothing to do. That has nothing to do with suing the federal government. The federal government has certain avenues where they can say you can't sue us, regardless of what your case is.
The federal government can just say "fuck you" anyway. I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, the federal government can effectively just, that's the whole point. That's why the laws are made.
The whole point is the Supreme Court already ruled on it. The federal government can give a fuck. The Supreme Court already ruled on it, right? They already ruled on it. right? So
sounding awfully like an infomercial.
Yeah,
Well,
but they
Melissa
can
is
get
saying
yeah,
that
but they
it
can
set
get
a
overturned.
precedent. It set a precedent
Yeah,
that
but
that
does it
has
mean
to
that
be
that can't
followed.
be overturned?
I'll be honest with you. That sounds accurate, but I'm not. I don't know enough about it to be
in legal
honest.
cases, especially in torts, there are two major things: one, wrongdoing, and two, precedent. If you have both wrongdoing and precedent, you're going to win your case. Period.
Yeah, but that's
right?
only if. But the federal government can decide that you are not allowed to sue it.
No, it can't, because you're a ward of the state. They are responsible for your care if they throw you in prison.
Yeah, but there's some strange rules with the federal government about how you can sue them and what you have to go through because it has to get approved.
I mean,
Well,
they
no,
won't.
Either
Well,
way, it would have been a giant clusterfuck of ever proportions that
I
the,
would like
that
to
state
point
would
out.
not did not want to go through.
I would
Therefore,
like- wait a
gave
minute,
the
though.
individual
I
the
would
choice.
like.
And it was,
I would.
and it
wait.
was. I will guarantee you, it was 1,000 times cheaper to give her estrogen and fucking testosterone blocker and all the other horse shit, right, than it was to suffer a lawsuit or even settle out of lawsuit.
No,
out
but
of court.
can I point out a simple fact real quick?
God
When
damn it.
Bradley Manning signed up to the military, he was a he. So why is it their responsibility to transition him into a
Because
she?
he is a ward of the state.
We
No,
just
but
went over this.
No, but he signed his name and
Well, yeah, but it doesn't matter if he signed that or not because even though technically he was still in the military because of how the military functions, the fact that he's a ward to the state due to a prison term puts him in a different category.
wait, so
Yeah.
no, MC,
Yeah, but there's
so
no
that-
life-threatening
so-
issue with it. I
No,
mean,
but
know
they're only required to provide.
Cabbage.
No, wait a minute, no,
All it
I-
takes is for them to get a psychologist to get up there and say it is a life-needing or it's a life-saving
but it's
procedure.
not.
That's all
But
they
it's
need.
not.
They go-
But it's
It
not.
doesn't matter what you think. It matters what the experts think. You're not an expert. Your opinion is irrelevant in the
They're
court of
not
law.
Expert.
What is relevant?
Expert on
What
gender.
is relevant in court is expert testimony. Period.
No, but it's
You're saying,
ridiculous.
I mean, Melissa
Okay,
does
so
have a fucking
you're
point.
so Melissa,
She
you're
has a
saying
very
it's
good point.
so it would be an argument on suicidal basis, right? The fact that the person might commit suicide
No,
if they don't get that transition.
all they would have to say is that it is a psychological need. Bam. Court
Yeah, but
over.
that's what I mean. Psychologically, yeah, but I mean, unless
Actually,
it's
I think it's
life-threatening.
even worse than that. They don't even have to say life-threatening. They could just say it's adversely. It
Really?
affects their
Oh
health
my
adverse.
god!
No,
Yeah.
that's
Fucking
ridiculous.
social justice horseshit.
Oh my
Yeah, that's
God.
ridiculous.
Gives
No,
a
wait a minute.
shit.
Wait a minute. Let me talk, please. So the U.S. government, my name is Christopher. I signed up as Christopher.
Oh.
I joined the military. 2 years in, I'm like, you know what? I want to be Christina.
No,
It's their job to pay for my transfer.
You're not
If
a
you're in
ward.
prison-
As a soldier, you're not a ward of the state.
If you're in prison,
Oh
you
yeah.
should be Michael.
So all I have to do is punch my drill sergeant in the face, and I can be transitioned.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You might
This is ridiculous.
you might be transitioning from the hospital bed, but yeah.
Yeah, but this is ridiculous. This is insane.
It makes
You
no sense.
signed your name. When you sign up for the military in the U.S., you
Oh
sign your
my
life
God.
away for 2 to 4 to 8 years, whatever.
No. But it's a misnomer. You don't sign your life away. You have constitutional rights. You have right to litigation.
Yeah, but they don't include cosmetic surgery.
but you pay for TRICARE, correct?
But you are a government tool
No, your
at
family
that
does.
point.
You pay for your family's TRICARE. You yourself are covered.
Yeah, but it's a misnomer.
Yeah, but the soldier still pays it.
While you're in the military, if let's say you were raped, right, in the military, you have the right to litigation. You could sue the DOD.
Well, that's reasonable.
Possibly.
Right? I mean, you could. I'm not saying you're going to win your case, but you could.
No.
You have
Well,
the
see,
right.
this is where it gets strange, because, like I said, the federal government for some reason has the ability to say, we don't care about, you don't have the authority to sue us, so you can't bring a lawsuit, regardless of the merit of your lawsuit.
So I mean, it's not like a soldier or a sailor or whatever has absolutely no say in it, right? Like they have a say in the process, and you have the right to litigation. You have the right to a trial. You have the whole 9 yards.
Melissa, at that point, then, should we just allow all the gay prisoners in U.S. prisons to be transitioned? You know how much that's going to cost the taxpayers?
Well, I mean,
Hey, fuck the taxpayers. What do they need? What, they don't need their money. Fucking, they're spending on TVs and comforts and enjoyment.
Being gay has nothing to do with transition. Nothing at all.
No, not necessarily, but some people in prison would like to transition, I'm sure. Would you pay for them?
Well,
I'm sorry that over encompassing. I sounded a little bit rude. Yeah. I have had a bad day. My bad. But
no, I agree with you. If they can't do it themselves, they should crowdfund it. There's no reason why the taxpayer should fucking fund it.
But that's the thing.
No,
once they're a ward of the state is responsible for them. Period. That's it.
Yes, but this is cosmetic surgery to all intents and purposes.
Well, you can say that it's cosmetic surgery, but if they
don't change the DNA, so it's
hold on. But all they need is a quote unquote healthcare professional to state that it will have a deleterious effect on their health if they don't go through this procedure.
And
this is why there are in women's prisons, in women's federal prisons, there are women getting breast augmentations that are being paid for by the federal government.
Insanity.
Am I the only one that thinks that's ridiculous? I mean, really.
Social justice warrior bullshit. Well, like I said, this is the reason I have an issue. It's not trans thing that I have a particular issue with. It's this whole, entrenchment of this social justice bullshit where everyone,
it's not social justice bullshit. This has been.
At least look, I don't give a shit who wants to get, if you want to cut things off yourself and things like that, no problem whatsoever. Once you're an adult, once you're actually capable and you're reasonable. But the idea that you get like kids who are being pushed through this stuff, pushed into it or even engaged in it at weird ages that they wouldn't even have a consideration for this kind of stuff. Where they're basically just working out whether or not they want to pull the, wings off a fly or eat a worm or something. And they're suddenly meant to be confronted with, their sexuality and all this kind of shit.
Well, no,
I was 7 when I came out as gay.
Okay, we're jumping around on topics. Like, I'm talking about
but that's
adults
fine.
in
But the thing is that you were 7 when you came out as gay, right?
But what is that? That doesn't have fuck all to do with what Melissa is talking about.
Well, no, because what I'm saying is that if you wanted to transition, then it would be sensible for you not to be pushed into actually having that at 7 because you may you may have a reassessment later on,
okay,
right?
I want to know
you
what
are in your most formative years.
Adult prisons. I want to know what that has
prisons.
to do.
No, that particular bit does.
That was my fucking point. That's why I said
that
has fuck all to do with what Melissa.
Well, what I'm saying is it's all part of the social justice shit that's allowing this crap to happen.
In court, god damn it.
Whether we like it or not, there's a lot of decisions that are made by the court that we totally disagree with, but we have to live with.
Well, yeah. But how do these laws get put into place? How do these, precedents come into effect?
It's a ruling by the Supreme Court. It is not
exactly
law.
Precedent, like you said, precedents get created. Why? Because of the different social groups that end up, rising up, and then they think that they're applying a law that, is going to please the, particular shouting group. Pink hair.
And the whole transgender, prisoner thing is actually just piggybacking off of another fucking Constitution or U.S. SCOTUS ruling. That's all it's doing. Like, the ruling existed before being a transsexual got politicized, way before it, right? This got litigated in something like in the 70s. Because what had happened was that people were showing up to prison addicted to heroin, and the prisons weren't treating people for withdrawal symptoms.
I think it goes back further than that, doesn't it?
What a withdrawal.
It might. I think it's somewhere in that era, like 60s, 70s, because, and that's basically what's going on, is that the prison was trying to withhold medical care as a form of punishment, and the Supreme Court said, no, you need to knock this lily-dilly shit off.
Okay, but transitioning is not medical care.
Well,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
if you get a healthcare professional to say that this will cause them harm to their health if they don't get something, it has been. Hold on, whether you like it or not, because that ruling has come about. There was another court ruling about women's health. All right, using the same thing where it reinforced this because they were saying, well, this is not necessarily a procedure that the woman needs, but all right, it's something that she can get, or because it's going to be harmful to her health, and it did get litigated. I'm not joking when I was talking about women in federal prison getting breast augmentations, and it's being paid for by the federal government. And this is the reason why.
That's about precedent, right? It's the precedence that gets set.
I want to know exactly how if you're born a man, it's the government's job to pay for you to be a female.
I can only slam my face into the wall so many times, Melissa. Sorry, baby.
I don't know what else to say. Like, you're a ward of the state. They get a professional that says it's a medical necessity, and the state has to pay for it. I don't care if you like that or not. It's just the reality of the world.
But it's not a medical necessity.
Well, you know what? You better start arguing with medical doctors, okay? Because your opinion.
No, these aren't medical doctors. These are psychologists. These are psychiatrists.
Actually,
these are
if you
not.
start estrogen,
you know what a psychologist?
You have to keep taking it.
It is not a physical requirement. It is not a physical requirement.
Yes, it is.
Whether you agree with it or not, whether you can make the determination or not, is absolutely immaterial. It's been adjudicated in the Supreme Court, and that's final. And unless at some point in the future, where they can go back up and fight this again, and they overturn it, in a different court in the future. Well, that can happen. That's possible. That's theoretically possible. But as things stand currently, there ain't nothing that you guys can do about it, or any more than I can do about it. Do I think it's horseshit? Of course I think it's horseshit. But guess what? The law is the law. Like I said, there's a lot of laws that the Supreme Court has decided that I have vehemently disagreed with. Their decisions to uphold RICO, I have vehemently disagreed with. Their reasoning for allowing the Paul Jones lawsuit to go forward under Bill Clinton, I vehemently disagreed with. All right, but guess what? That's the Supreme Court. They made the decisions, and we have to live with it.
Now, all right. So on that note, I think I've done pissing everybody in the panel off.
No, it's just it's like, it's like, well, why do we have to pay for it? Well, because you're a ward of the state. Well, understand it's not a medical necessity. Well, you know what? Go argue with a PhD psychologist that is a medical doctor.
Or go argue with a medical doctor that prescribes estrogen to a woman who doesn't create estrogen anymore because of her hysterectomy, and she fucking needs it to survive. You can do that too.
Yeah, but that's very different than just somebody who just decides that they want to change their, they want implants.
Why?
It is fucking totally different.
If you start estrogen or testosterone, you have to keep taking it.
No, if you start if you're already a woman and you need a supplement.
Melissa, I can only slam my face against this wall so many times.
Yeah, look, if you need something for your existing, sexual, I mean, if you need HRT, then of course.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah, but that's nonsense. That's a woman who
against
needs
this bullshit wall so many fucking times before they understand that if you start estrogen, you have to keep taking it for the rest of your
hormone replacement therapy for a woman for women's symptoms is very different than converting somebody.
Estrogen or anything until he was already in the goddamn military. So bang your head against the wall all you fucking want. It's not the goddamn truth.
No, it's
he
not.
was Bradley
transitioning.
I'm signed up.
Like I said, I can only slam my face.
It's got nothing to do with treating somebody. It's got nothing to do with the difference of getting HRT treatment.
They are totally biologists. They're doctors. They're biologists. They're psychologists
no, they're
on
not.
this fucking panel right now.
No, HRT is not a psychology.
Got 2 fucking psychologists, PhDs on this fucking panel. Right, goddamn.
Doesn't matter because you are not actually talking about psychology. You're talking about the actual biology Biology is not psychology.
Yeah,
My wife actually has a master's in psychology. If you would like to speak with her
Bullshit.
about
Yeah,
it.
but I don't care because you're talking biology versus psychology, and they're not the
Yeah,
same
but she had to
fucking
take
thing.
biology.
It doesn't
become
matter. The law is the law. It's settled, regardless of what we or anybody else cares. They're not going to care what your view is, my view is. The court has made a decision. You're going to have to live with it.
But what I'm saying is, if you start a regiment, you have to keep taking it, or you'll fuck up your internal organs.
That's
You
fine,
will.
but
And if you're a woman who needs HRT, you should get it.
He was a man until he was locked up, Wolfshot.
Yep.
I don't give a shit.
For this.
So he doesn't need it. He only needs it because of the psychology,
Did
not
you not
because
listen?
of the fucking
Dude,
biology.
you guys must be fucking deaf. Did you not
Not
listen to
because
Melissa
of the
at all?
biology. There is no biology involved
at all?
in Bradley Manning. Where
Did
is
you
the
not
biology
listen to
in
her
Bradley
at
Manning
all?
where he needs? Where does he need any kind of
Seriously, like,
Believe
I
it or
guess you
not,
didn't.
But wait a minute. No,
you
they
are the
didn't-
master of the universe. I bow down to your knowledge.
No, but wait a minute. They didn't go through any psychology tests at all before joining the military. Bradley didn't do that at all. He didn't go through
Holy shit.
Oh, I'm sure he didn't do that. He was still a he until he got arrested, and then about a year or two later, he decided to change.
Did you
And
listen to anything Melissa fucking had to say?
That doesn't matter. Are you talking about this?
It does matter. It does matter because
the
she knows.
It's psychology, not fucking physicality.
Court, whether you like it or not, the court has made this decision. Why are you arguing about it?
Well, because we're saying that it's it's a shit decision. That's the point, right? That's the point we're making. Why don't you get that point?
Okay,
Because
I
it's
got that
fucking
point, but
ridiculous that these people get the opportunity to
still
have the
have to listen
taxpayer
to what the court
fund
says. You
their
can say that it's
psychological,
bullshit.
sexual
You can say that it's
dysmorphia.
bullshit. I understand that point. You can say that it's bullshit. All right, you can say it's a bad decision. I've said that about a lot of court decisions, some of which people agree with, some of which people don't agree with. All right, but guess what? I still got to live with those decisions, and so do we.
Yeah, and we do. And the whole point is we're pointing out that we don't like them.
Accept it and move on.
No, you don't.
And the decision stems from, I actually think it was in the 70s, now I think about it, because in the 70s was a real shady part of American medical history. And they were, insane asylums were literally like torture buildings, basically, right? And it wasn't just this place or this place. I mean, this was just a phenomenon across the United States.
We were coming out of several things in the 60s. That's when the whole
lobotomies.
the lobotomies were something that people were. I mean, there was a lot of things that people were doing in that time frame because they were, misinformed or they were forming theories and unfortunately experimenting on people.
And
because it worked.
And what was going on is the prisons thought it was a great idea. Like, oh, this is how we could punish prisoners, is we could just withhold their medical stuff from them. And the Supreme Court put a kibosh on it. Basically, is what happened. They're like, no, they're a ward of the state. You have to take care of them.
Yes, but like I said, taking care of the person for their existing situation.
I just want to say this really calm and really clear. Take care of somebody means you don't let them die of the flu. You don't let them die of ammonia. Exactly. You make sure they're okay. It does not mean you cut their dick off and make it a vagina.
It's called mission creep, I think, isn't it?
But no one cares about what you think.
Creep.
No, there's a difference between keeping somebody okay by a ward of the state.
But they're not arguing.
I'm going to say it again.
Arguing
no one cares about what you fucking think.
Yeah, you know what? I care about what I think, and some people in the chat do. So fuck you.
It's not a situation that whether Woolshot agrees or doesn't agree with it, whether or not she thinks it's right or thinks it's wrong, any more than it's whether or not you think it's right or you think it's wrong. There are court decisions, and these become precedents that you have to take into account. And that, guess what? This is what the court says. You've basically
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we know that, right? We know that this. We've already said this 1,000 times.
Right.
That doesn't mean we have to agree with it,
No,
and
you're
you
right,
know, and
though.
think that it's
You're right.
reasonable.
No, the court says that. So I could roll into the ER tomorrow and say, you know what, I have a really bad problem. I need to be a woman, and they're going to transition me.
if you're in prison, yeah.
No. I'm a citizen. I should have more rights.
You're not a ward of the state.
Hey, how about if you're in Guantanamo Bay? You
No,
know,
I
how
want to
many
roll into. I want to roll into.
If you're in Guantanamo Bay in prison and you decide to transition,
I'm done being a man. I want to be
That'd be
Christina
so
tomorrow.
funny. I'd love to hear about
okay, are you a ward of the state? Yes or no?
Well, okay, so prisoners have more rights than a citizen.
In
Yes.
certain circumstances, yes.
Yes, they do.
That's bullshit.
Duh.
Yes, but that's
Fucking
our problem,
duh.
right? And so you think duh?
Why-
So do you think
why
that's
do
a
you
good
think-
thing or a bad thing then?
Why do you think they call it the prison industrial complex? There's
It's
many.
for-profit prison.
But
It's,
why
it's
do
a
you think
many.
it's a good thing?
It's a multifaceted, hunkering beast that almost everybody that's anybody has their hand in, right?
It's
But
private.
But what I don't get is why you think it's a good thing that these people get to exploit these systems.
Just
like
because
that,
we were
in
trying
that
to
manner.
explain something
They
to
weren't-
you a
they
million
don't-
times.
Yeah, but you didn't. Yeah, you didn't explain anything. All you did was say they have the right to do it. I mean, and I pointed out that precedents can be overturned.
Well, she
I said it
explained it
100
better than
times,
I
and you
did.
wouldn't fucking listen.
She wasn't saying, at no point did she say that she thought this was a good thing or a bad
It's
thing.
true. I didn't. I was just
No,
trying
you
to.
didn't.
I was.
You'll never
I was
commit
tired
yourself.
of slamming my face into a fucking
I
wall. because
never
Melissa's
said it.
already
Yeah,
I
said
never
it.
exactly.
said
Well,
it.
maybe if
You're
you'd have
correct.
come out and
Melissa
said it's
never said
ridiculous,
it.
then you wouldn't have
I-
had to slam your fucking head against the wall.
They
If you'd have
didn't-
said
Because
didn't
you didn't
ask.
understand it the first fucking time. Because you didn't
You never
listen.
said it. You never said it.
You didn't listen to
All
Melissa.
you
You
had to
fucking
do-
faggot.
Excuse
All
me,
you
you're the one
had
banging
to
your
do-
head against the wall. You could have just, you
Look,
could have
Cabbage, all you
qualified
You
had
could've
to
listened to
do
Melissa
was
in the
say,
first place.
regardless of what the
Fucking
decision is and whether it's
could've
right or
listened to
wrong,
her.
Oh,
all you
triggered.
do is ask what their opinions
Triggered.
are, to ask them for them to tell you
not
what their
triggered.
opinions about it.
Triggered.
I'm not triggered. You could
No,
have
I'm just-
listened
I
to
just-
Melissa in the first place.
I did listen
I
to
didn't say I
Melissa
was-
and I responded to her.
I didn't say I was for it or against it. I just stated the facts, right?
Those are the facts.
And we live in a day and age where it's been going on for probably the last 120 years or so, where a lot of situations happen, and the laws really haven't caught up to the situations, right? And I think this actually, I'm not trying to be that person, that I'll blame the media, but I think the media actually has a lot to do with why things got so much slower, right? In terms of how the government responds with laws.
How do you mean?
Prior to 1920, let me back that up just a little bit. Prior to 1900, information was much more difficult to come across. And then you had the birth of mass media, and the internet just exacerbated these things. But now you're in a situation where things move so fast and Congress moves so slow that the laws really don't get to catch up. And this really became a problem in the 1970s, 1980s. During this time, people were, hacking computer systems, right? And the government literally didn't know how to charge them because they would try theft laws. But at the end of the day, a hacker is taking electrical impulses, and nobody really owns those.
No, they did it with Kevin Mitnick.
So they didn't have all these computer crime laws, but the computer crimes are happening. Well, I mean, these computer events, because they weren't crimes, but because there was no law to break, but they just didn't catch up, right? And
As long as it was an unclassified system, that is correct.
yeah, it was a very
Kevin Mitnick,
so
and
now we had
the charges against him were because of AT&T, I think. That wasn't a military thing. That wasn't.
Well, that was because he was using. Didn't they charge him with using their services without paying for it? So they
but
got
that's
him
not state.
theft of
Not,
service.
but AT&T is not state run, right? It's not.
No,
that
but
was
it
a private company,
basically
right?
what they
So
said
they're
was,
responsible for their own security, shouldn't they be?
well, but that doesn't mean you get to rob them if their security is poor. Just because you don't lock the doors to your house doesn't mean when somebody robs something from you, which is what they were stating, that you're
Okay,
allowed
good
to
analogy.
do.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, it's a good analogy.
So you ended up in a situation where the laws haven't really caught up with what's going on. And I think this is where the whole transition in prison thing has happened. Is the Supreme Court made a ruling long before, well, I mean, transition really did exist before then. The first transsexual that transitioned in, and I use that in a modern context, right, was a World War II veteran. After the war, she had transitioned. I forget her name off the top of my head. Let me look into that. Two veteran.
Probably already had a nut blown off from a landmine or something.
Fuck.
Anyway,
anyway, but what had happened is that ruling was made before the transgender phenomenon, I guess, if you want to call it that, really came into its own, right?
Now, come on, this is a very modern thing. It's a very modern thing. I mean, yeah, there might have been one exception, but then again, there were people. I mean, remember eunuchs, right? Going back to the days of ancient Egypt and things like that. There were people who had their nuts cut off and things like that to serve in the royal palaces, right?
Well,
so there's already plenty of precedents of people who want to have bits of themselves cut off or added in or whatever.
But here's the scary thing about the Supreme Court. When they make a ruling, it just doesn't affect the things that have already happened. It will also affect things that will happen, right, in the future. And, the people that made the decision in the 60s and 70s that people in prison are the ward of the state and the state is responsible for their care, they had no way of foreseeing the transgender phenomenon becoming what it is today, right?
Yeah, but you can modify laws to say people who have not transgressed or something like that, right? It wouldn't be a difficult addition to the law to say people who have not transgressed the the legal system, and then hey presto,
but in order for that
they don't get included.
You need to have a ruling by Congress.
Yeah, exactly, and that's an easy
thing
to
you don't.
do.
You're not even Congress.
There's a reason they say putting a law in by Congress, because you
can't even do it by Congress because it's already been ruled constitutional or unconstitutional by.
Yeah, it would have to be done by the judiciary.
Congress actually does have the power to actually do.
Could overrule. Actually, you could do it with an executive order.
It cannot overrule. It can't overrule it. But what it could do in this case is define it. Because of the ruling to say this will not apply in this situation.
Exactly.
And the Supreme Court or the Congress does have the authority to say, okay, this ruling applies only to XYZ. It doesn't apply to ABC, for example. Right?
That's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying.
That is an authority granted to Congress, but an act of Congress is what it would take, and there's a reason we use the term act of Congress as something that's next to impossible or very difficult.
Oh, you could just have it overturned in a court case, in which case then that wouldn't work.
No,
if it goes in front of the Supreme Court and then the case gets overturned. Then
okay, but in order for you to overturn a precedent like that, there has to be some kind of legal reasoning to say this is different enough that the court should review it. Otherwise, they're supposed to follow precedent.
Yeah, and here's the difficult part when it comes to the transsexual aspect. Is you're going to be very hard pressed to find a judge that's going to ignore medical doctors, right? These experts carry a lot of clout when it comes to courts.
Most of them are very liberal.
Who labeled them as experts, I wonder. But anyway.
Well, no, the society did, because they spend 7-10 years fucking learning.
If you have a PhD in psychology, I'm sorry, you're an expert in psychology. If you have a PhD in endocrinology, you're an expert in endocrinology.
Well,
I mean, even if you went to a shitty school and had shitty teachers.
Yeah, but you can also get a fucking degree off the internet, so you know.
Are we really challenging a fucking PhD
you
now?
Go to a shitty fucking school, yeah. Yeah, I am challenging because there's a lot of economics teachers that know shit about economics. I went to college. I studied economics. There's a lot of shit teachers.
Please tell me you graduated.
God damn.
But
I'll take that as
I mean, if you got someone that got their medical degree from UC Berkeley, and he's an neurologist, right? And you put him on a stand, and he practiced 13 years in his field and wrote 47 papers, which revolutionized the field. You put him on a stand and have him, and he says being a transsexual is both a neurological and psychological effect, and if they do not get their transition, it will bring undue distress and discomfort to the patient, right?
Yeah, but Melissa,
if you think for a moment a judge is not going to listen to him, you're fucking crazy.
Oh no, of course he'll listen to him, but you know he's not an expert in it. So he's just taking the evidence.
Freud? What about Freud? Everybody's discrediting him nowadays.
No,
but he was
the
a
thing is,
scholar in his day. Is Freud an idiot? And what about these guys that you're calling experts? Are they going to be?
There should be a counter argument from the defense, right? So I mean, there are two sides to any case, and so there should be an expert, which is also representing the other side. So whether it's the defense or whether it's
that can or can't or that may or may not happen. There's a lot of
really.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if you got a medical doctor to get on a stage and get on a stand and under oath say that being a transsexual is not a psychological necessity, it is not a neurological necessity, that doctor is inviting the prosecutor to absolutely shit in their mouths. Absolutely shit in their mouths. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, but how can they do that?
No, wait. This is valid.
Because there is medical consensus.
No, but this is okay.
Consensus. Now we're talking a different matter rather than a single representative. Now we're talking consensus.
No, Cabbage, wait a minute. Yeah. First off, consensus science is bullshit. That's the same thing they tell us with fucking warming. Fuck off with that. Second, now, what age was Bradley Manning when he wanted to transition? And why did he not want to transition at 17 or 18? He was like, what?
Why not 12 or 5 or 2?
Well, I mean
seriously. Why didn't his parents force him into it at his birth?
Are you Bradley Manning? How do you know what is or isn't in her head, right?
Well, you know what? Though? You know what? There was photos. There was wanted to transition after he got arrested for being a fucking
bullshit. There are pictures of her wearing a wig and lipstick, driving around in her fucking car. Before she was arrested, before she did the leak.
I've known cross-dressers. There are cross-dressers, and they don't necessarily want to cut their penis off.
Well, okay, and then so she goes through.
By the way, they don't cut it off. I think they invert it.
As a non sequitur, by the way, the BBC is now reporting that Tom Petty has died.
Okay, it's official.
But and the whole scientific consensus thing is bullshit. No, that's fucking horseshit. Okay, the physics of fucking Newton will get you to the fucking moon, and you'll not find a single astrophysicist that will argue otherwise. It is sound, solid facts. Congratulations.
Yes, and exactly.
Just like
no, but there is no solid facts in psychology. Why? Because the human
no. Don't mix up
endocrinology is not psychology. That's medical science.
Don't mix up psychology with psychology. They are totally different things. Right?
Endocrinology is medical science.
Right? Very different.
Endocrinology is your endocrine system. That's medical. That's not psychology.
That is an
but what
endocrine
we're
system.
talking about with somebody who has gender dysphoria is psychology. We're not talking about what you just mentioned. I can't say that word, so I don't even want to try.
No, but endocrinology is part of the transition process. My doctor is a endocrinologist. That's who I go see. He is an endocrinologist. He is not a psychologist. He is not a psychiatrist. He is an endocrinologist.
Yes, but that's the whole point, right?
He's a medical doctor. He's an actual doctor.
Oh, he's an actual doctor.
No, but there's no reason Bradley should have, in the middle of being sentenced and gone to prison, have said, "Oh, suddenly I'm a woman." What the fuck? Like,
he was in the military.
I love you for trying, baby.
She was in the military. Okay, I was in the military. Do you think I told those cocksuckers I was trans? No, I kept my fucking mouth shut. I cross-dressed on the weekend and did fucking drag queen shows. That's what the fuck I did. I kept my mouth shut.
Well, like I said, I have no problem with people who want to do it as an adult. I don't understand the state sponsorship of it, and I certainly don't believe in children who are, being taught this, and exposed to these kind of crazy things before they even know whether or not they,
because
it's fucking ridiculous. I mean, if they discover it for themselves, that's one thing, but the idea that you put these questions in kids' heads, that's fucking sick.
And with
you're exposing them things, it's like, well, I never thought about that. They didn't even know sexuality. And I mean, a 5-year-old, what the fuck do they know about sex?
The reason the state is responsible is because that person, that individual, is the ward of the state.
Why are you laughing?
Is responsible.
Well, you think it's a cool idea to just expose kids to like weird shit that they have absolutely no reference point for?
Cabbage, shut up.
I'm asking you a question. You're laughing. I'm wondering why you're laughing.
You're goddamn right. I'm laughing.
Explain you're laughing.
It's funny.
Yeah, but why?
I don't have to explain shit to you, man. It's funny.
All right, but you think 5-year-olds getting fucking educated.
Oh my god!
What other fucking scissoring and shit? That's somehow going to be valid to them.
No, Cabbage. Tonight, me and you are the bad guys. That's how it's going.
I never said. I didn't say a fucking word to that effect.
No, but you're
I'm laughing because it's fucking laughable.
What? That kids are being taught this stuff, which they are. And I mean, yes, it is laughable. I mean, it should be laughable. I mean, it shouldn't be happening.
I knew I liked girls when I was 7. I had to say, "Hey, Mom, I like girls," and she had to explain it to me. She had to explain to me what it meant to me.
Yeah, but that's fine. But you
How is that different than what you just said?
Well, no, what I'm saying is that you discovered it yourself. You weren't having this thing kind of presented to you and explained that this is the, you see how much fucking dysphoria there is now, right? Sexual dysphoria that's going on. And the reason it's happening is because of how much exposure there is to people. Now, you discovered it yourself. That's perfectly reasonable, right? That was a personal evolution. Yeah, but that's a personal evolution. Hopefully that's what it was. Because if it was a personal evolution, then you're going to be much less likely to commit suicide on the basis of, change. Right? And I'm hoping the same thing with Melissa, right? You develop, you discovered it for yourself. You weren't kind of encouraged into something. You don't feel like you're trying to adopt.
Well, I was encouraged. I was encouraged to be myself.
I mean, like
exactly.
when I was a pre-teenager, my dad caught me kissing another guy, kissing a guy, and I mean, he was fine with it. I mean, as fine as a parent's going to be, right? Like he didn't like yell and scream at me about being gay and all that.
Yeah, he didn't harass you for it.
Yeah, he was well, no, he was just like, you're too young for that kind of shit, right? Like it wasn't even disappointment. It was just you're too young to be kissing anybody, right? And then, you know, by the time, and then when I was like 14, I had my first boyfriend, and he came over and all that stuff. My dad was nice, like no big deal, right? And but I had a lot of, I'm not going to go too deep into my personal life, but I had a lot of underlying issues, right? And as a result, I acted out a lot. And so I was going from psychologist to psychologist to psychologist, all child psychologists, right? And
psychologist or psychiatrist?
And they would tell my dad that, oh, he's just gay, he's fine, get him on his way, right? And over and over and over again, right? And none of them were really, and this is what this is like my speculation. I don't know this for a fact, but none of them really figured out that I had gender dysphoria. Well, back then it would have been gender identity disorder, right? But that's a conversation that's another whole nother conversation. But you know, I told my dad, I said, look, I'm not gay, you know, and the next relationship I got into was with a woman, right? So I'm a bisexual. I've always been a bisexual, as far as back as I can remember, right? So when I brought home the girlfriend, my dad really didn't know what to think. He's like, wait a minute, I thought you were gay. And I'm like, I'm not gay, like, right? So it was just this weird thing going on with me. But all those underlying issues never got really resolved. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I actually made sense of what was going on with me, right? And what I mean by that is, like, I knew something was wrong, right? Like, I've always known something was wrong. But I didn't have a word for it, right? I didn't know what it is that I wanted, right? Or what it is. I didn't have the word to enunciate what I was feeling, right? And I was in the military, and we went to Thailand, and I met this hooker, right? And this hooker
this should be a good story.
No, this hooker was a lady boy, right? And I was intensely interested, not for the reasons most people are going to assume. So I wanted to talk to her, and I said, hey, come here. I want to talk to you. She's like, I'm working. And so I paid for like 3 fucking hours of her time, right? I didn't fuck her, right? I don't fuck prostitutes. And I sat there and I just fucking talked to her. It was probably the easiest fare of her fucking life, right? And I just talked to her and I wrote down everything she had to say. And then, because like, she was telling me about how the transition process works, what you got to do, all this fun stuff, right? So she spoke really good English for somebody born in Thailand. Anyway, but that was then that I connected the dots. Like, I didn't know that transitioning was a thing before then, right? And this is like circa 2001, maybe 2002. I didn't know shit about it. And then I connected the dots. I said, okay, I'm just going to do my time in the military, and then this is what the fuck I'm doing, right? But it's not like in that moment I figured out I was trans, right? It was in that moment that I knew there was a way for me to get out of the way I was feeling, right? There was a way for me to express or get that out of me, right? I have always known there was something wrong, right? Like, as far back as I can remember, right? And it ended up in these, this is a fucking embarrassing thing to tell. I don't even know why, but like my friends, I would go to their house or whatever, and then I would kype their little sister's fucking clothes, and then I would go wear them. So, I mean, this is just the reality I was in, because I didn't know how to ask my dad to go buy me a skirt or to go get me makeup or, you know, a hair straightener or that kind of shit, right? Like I just didn't know how. And it felt, I mean, as you can imagine, as a preteen or a early
but
teen
what were
kid,
you aspiring to? I mean, usually, I mean, a lot of these things are generally, you know, down to the media and things that people are exposed to, or the social environment that they're exposed to.
I mean, like, I mean, I was raised by a single father. He was a good guy. Like, he wasn't a drunk. He wasn't, you know, a drug addict, anything like that.
Didn't beat you. No beatings.
He didn't beat me. I mean, I got a belt across the ass when I misbehaved, right? But I mean, nothing savage, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just a bit of discipline.
I mean, outside of swatting my ass with a belt, I don't think he's ever put a hand on me, right? Let's see here. I wasn't sexually assaulted.
Yeah, but the point is, right, that you came to a conclusion, right, during, and like you said, it was when you were, I mean, you know, after your teens, when you really kind of like qualified it, when you really understood, you know, when you quantified it, you understood what your situation was, and that's a sensible thing. My issue that I have with all this trans stuff is that they are introducing it at a younger and younger and younger fucking age. You've got even parents now promoting kids to have, you know, their sex changes at the most ridiculous ages. Because they have no idea what those kids might grow up to. They may grow up to be gay, and that's fine. Let them be gay, right? They may grow up and just be a transvestite, right? Well, fine. If, you know, a dude wants to walk around in a dress, that's fine. You know, whatever, floats your boat. I don't have any issues with any of those things. But my problems are with the way in which the media is kind of implanting this into people. It's quite bizarre. It's really strange. And I don't understand what the purpose is. I don't get what the result's meant to be. Now, you've come to your conclusion through, I mean, education, you know, I mean, you've been through your life and you've come, you know, and you've had your experiences and you've gone through your education, you've done your psychology, and, you know, you have a result. But the idea of, you know, pushing that on a, you know, the idea of just presenting that to some child that has no concept what sexuality even means.
Oh, by the time I was 14, I knew what a sexuality was.
Oh, 14, yeah, everybody does. I lost my virginity at 14.
I knew what sexuality was.
I lost my virginity at 14 in a bunker on a fucking golf course.
I'm the bad guy, but I do need to go. It's been about 4 hours. So any last thoughts, you guys?
Oh, no, I'm good. Thank you.
MC, I think, passed out, or his head's exploded from all of this liberalism.
Yeah, well, do you have any last thoughts?
Listening.
Well, last thoughts.
Ready to post a meme.
Wrap it up.
Well, actually, I think what I just said wrapped me up, you know, in terms of my perspective on this issue. It's my concern is more about the presentation of this stuff and how, you know, how it's being presented to certainly the wrong kind of audience. Yeah, these are decisions you should come to through life experience, not from educational processes. That's bullshit.
All right. MC, any last thoughts about anything we talked about tonight? Las Vegas, any gun control, anything?
The one thing with Las Vegas is obviously there's still a lot we don't know. There's still a lot about the shooters we don't know, motivations, etc. And it's incumbent upon people to stay on top of the fact that they are not releasing what I would consider pertinent information.
Absolutely. Fucking A. It seems weird that they don't have any information right now. So weird.
Yeah, absolutely. And Melissa, I apologize if I was rude. I hope you come back on the RedEye. Any last thoughts?
Oh no, you don't have to apologize. Like, I understand the conversation in here can get quite heated. It's fine. I'm actually it's very, very hard to offend me. So the minute you start crashing planes into my buildings, that's when I get offended.
All right.
Awesome. I'm pretty offended at that point. But
Does it just have to be your apartment or just buildings generally?
it's been buildings generally.
Okay, good. As long as you know.
At that point, I'm pretty offended.
We'll make an exception for your complex. Where do you live?
Yeah, he's gassing up the plane.
If you followed me on Twitter, you would know that.
I was talking about cabbage.
Yeah, he wants GPS coordinates, you prick.
So, Melissa, any last thoughts before I wrap this up?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This has been the RedEye stream number 30. We hit a lot of tough topics tonight, and we had some arguments. I got a little bit triggered, and, that happens. So, good night, and good luck, everybody.